drink too much. I tell myself that I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. That I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. Clearly now. Clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. I smoke too much. I drink too much. I tell myself that I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now.
Welcome to the Reverie Esports buy-in tournament for December. We're doing a little early because it's the Christmas holidays and we don't want too many people having to worry about playing at the end of the year. I'm your caster, Effect FX, and we're joined by Octavian. And I'm actually muted. Testing. Yes, got it.
Successful.
I did it again. I'm sorry. I introduced everybody. They heard it. You didn't, though.
All right. Well, I assume I was introduced.
Yes.
I assume I was introduced properly with all 7 of my titles, correct?
Yes. Actually, I did.
All right,
I did
good.
8. I added another one. Felt you deserved it.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's quite nice of you. But we are into the pick bands here between 2 teams which I am unfamiliar with, actually.
University of South Carolina and Rose Noir Esports are winners from last night.
Ah, Rose Noir, I know them. And University of South Carolina, I remember the name. I believe perhaps they competed in the CSL, which I casted for a little while ago. But Rose Noir definitely, I would say, is potentially a favorite to even win the buy-in tournament here. So this could be an interesting match in our hands for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to it. We're seeing lots of bands coming out. Rek'Sai, Victor, Rise, Zach, and Syndra. Waiting on our very last band. And there it is. It is a Lee Sin band. I do remember quite a few of these names. Long Dong
Lee Sin,
Silver.
potentially a targeted band?
Could be.
Oh man, that's going to be a fun one to cast. Long Dong Silver 60.
We get the best names here at
LeBlanc.
Reverie.
LeBlanc locked in immediately for presumably Long Dong Silver if they are in LCS order.
I'm not sure if they are. I seem to remember him being top lane, but maybe I'm remembering this incorrectly.
Potentially. It does seem, however, that our Rose Noir is in their LCS order, as Holy is going to be locking in Poppy for himself, which he's had some great success on recently. And Fluke will be going back to the Nautilus, which was a powerhouse for him last night.
Absolutely. He seems to have removed the F from his name because maybe he was tired of the function of Luke jokes I was making.
Oh, you just by yourself, you wholly pushed him out of his strange naming tendencies.
It's like,
well done. Well done, Effect.
Yes! Mission successful.
I mean, your full name, though, is Effect FX, which you could consider to be Effect the function of X.
Yes.
So there's some mathematical roots to your own name as well. Get it? Roots? Mathematical roots?
I get it.
Roots? Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to move on from that. It is Vi locked in. And with all the focus on the jungle, Rek'Sai, Zach, Lee Sin already taken out of the picture. Vi is one of the few left in the current meta that to be picked away. So I'm actually really interested to see what Rose Noir goes as far as their jungler pick is concerned. And I honestly don't even have a crystal ball prediction for you guys. I'm not sure where we're going to be seeing Cat Person go.
It's definitely very, very curious to see what they will lock in, because obviously our more common junglers like Zac, and basically
Yeah.
Zac is our most common jungler nowadays. Looks like it's gonna
Oh,
be
there's the
Olaf.
Olaf. Yeah, I don't honestly know how that slipped my mind, but yeah, there's the Olaf pick, of course. And Cat Person's going to grab that one. Pretty similar composition to what we saw Rose Noir run last night. Maybe they have a particular style. It's certainly shaping up to be that way as we get
Absolutely.
to the last two picks here for the side of University of South Carolina.
They're taking their time on their last pick. We saw Shurima play Syndra last night. I don't remember off the top of my head who his first pick was, but I believe they banned it out, if I remember correctly.
Mm.
Oh man, could be a Victor. Just not sure what he's gonna
Victor,
play into a LeBlanc. Victor's banned.
yeah,
Never mind.
yeah, Victor's actually out of the picture. Into the LeBlanc, I actually would really like. I was about to say, you sometimes see a Morgana mid even. I would really like to see the Morgana pick as a support here then, because that even denies that counter pick. People for a long time have said that Morgana is to some degree or another a sort of counter to LeBlanc, because you're able to shove the lane under tower early on by maxing your W first, which LeBlanc has a tough time handling, though not as tough a time anymore because of the nature of her passive now. And also LeBlanc likes to move in straight lines with distortion. So a good Morgana player can land a Dark Binding pretty reliably on a distorting LeBlanc if they're coming directly towards her, which often will happen in the laning phase.
We do see a Singed hover, but I just don't. You can't fool me. I'm watching you.
Yeah, seems unlikely. Seems unlikely for sure.
Full AP Singed. Oh, fun. But it
Um,
is going to be a
Kassadin.
Kassadin.
Ooh,
Wow. We haven't seen a
if,
Kassadin in forever?
quite a while. Since Rift Walk became Rift Step, really. Since, for those of you perhaps unfamiliar with Kassadin, since the range changes on his ultimate, Kassadin's fallen out of favor pretty drastically. There's even some walls that he can't get over anymore, and he just can't engage as easily or disengage as easily with the reduced distance that his ultimate now travels. But it does have more damage than it used to, if I recall. These patch changes were quite a while ago to compensate for that.
I can't remember
So I
which patch
think,
it is off the top of my head. It's been so
yeah,
long.
I think overall Kassadin's kit is a little higher damage, but that really was never the big selling point for Kassadin. It was just his crazy mobility. That was a big deal.
And with that, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays into, it looks like, focuses LeBlanc. It is indeed Long Dong Silver in the top lane with that Maokai. I do like these compositions, though. We see Reverie Esports making a return to their super heavy front line with a Caitlyn and a Kassadin as their damage. And it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with LeBlanc or focus on LeBlanc, because obviously LeBlanc is a powerful assassin, especially with her rework.
Yeah, and Kassadin isn't exactly a laning power, whereas LeBlanc has, if anything, become more powerful of a laner since her slight rework. So I'm worried about that matchup to some degree, but I'm excited to see it because we haven't seen Kassadin in so long.
Absolutely. So on that note, we're going to end it here. We're going to go into our small commercial break, and as soon as we're in-game, we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere, folks. And here we are on the Rift with our first game of our cast, I should say. And speaking of chat, turn that off. Got it.
The answer is yes to that question, but only if we have it on, by the way. And yeah, we are into the first game for me of the night. I apologize for showing up a little bit late to the cast, everybody, but I'm here, don't worry.
Don't worry, I was also late, but mine was because I locked my keys in my car and I had to wait for somebody to come
Oh.
unlock it. But the keys are no longer locked in the car, and I am here, so...
That's good. That's an improvement, for sure.
Absolutely. I haven't done that in ages. I felt really embarrassed.
30 seconds
Oh.
until minions spawn.
It's okay. I'm sure whoever... What happens in that situation, anyway? I've never actually been in it since I don't currently drive. Do you, like, call a locksmith or something? Do they come along and
Basically,
open the car for you?
You can call a locksmith. If your insurance company has something like AAA, they'll pay for it. If they don't, it varies on who you call. I've been charged $20. I've been charged $60. It just depends on the company. I paid $30 this time.
Wait a second. This is off topic, but it's actually sort of getting back on topic. That's not a Cassidon skin, is it? No, it isn't. Okay. Cassidon now apparently has some sort of green effect on his chest, and for a moment there, when the camera like panned over him, it looked like he was wearing a t-shirt, and I was very, very confused as to what skin would have Cassidon just in a plain green t-shirt. But am I crazy? Does it not look like that?
It kind of does.
Casual din. Okay. Anyways, the Cassidon laning phase is an interesting one to watch, regardless of what the man has on his chest. As the timing, I think, of his Q and when he gets that spell shield up is going to be hugely critical in a lot of these trades. So
See Mackenzie and Black Frost hanging out, and they get
They're
some
biting into
3
rafts.
hits onto rafts.
though he's in a dangerous place here. The exhaust comes down from both sides. Now Black Frost is going to take a few hits on the way out from Rafts. He dodges away from that arcane shot. Pardon me, mystic shot. And that'll be about the extent of it. Bottom lane, a lot of summoners burned already.
Wow. Yeah, we see both exhausts burned. I need to actually... Hello!
And an early gank from Cat Person to take advantage of that. Mackenzie goes down. There's a hook on a Black Frost. And Luke is not so brave as to dive under the turret, but every summoner taken and first blood for good measure. That's a great start for Rose Noir's bottom lane.
Absolutely. That's going to be very unfortunate for Mackenzie. He was just in the wrong spot, and Luke with that super aggressive flashes. We saw a bunch of that last night.
Oh, yeah. And Luke and Rafts are not a laning duo to be taken lightly. As you can see, a max range hook landing on the Black Frost. Not going to be punished too hard, though, as not even Rafts seem to be expecting that one to land. And the shove up top lane, this is a matchup we've seen a few times when it comes to Rose Noir. Maokai versus Poppy.
It's very exciting.
Oh, versus potentially Vi as well. No, maybe not.
IQ's
Vi did
2-1,
get spotted
does
out
get it
in
though.
the lane. Holy and IQ are going to go head to head or head to fist, I suppose, as Holy comes out the worst for the wear, but doesn't quite go down. In fact, not even having to burn a summoner. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Focus is getting the benefit of a gank here from Cat Person.
Cat
As
Person
another
with
undertow
good
of the wall,
access.
chunks another few hundred hit points off.
So far, Rose Noir does have a slight advantage because of that bottom lane gank, and we see IQ's 201 is ganking a lot. It's going to force him his flash.
Oh, a flash away from Shurima, but it doesn't get him enough distance, and there's the punishment for the early game of the Cassidon. Meanwhile, though, Black Frost still summonerless, and with the Black Shield dropped into Mackenzie, is going to be easy prey for Rafts and Luke as Mackenzie takes another headshot on the way out.
Luke is just controlling this lane so well with those hooks.
Oh,
Speaking
speaking of, there's another one right on time. The Piltover Peacemaker doesn't land, though, as Mackenzie shifted out of the way just before his imminent death. And now IQ is 201. Is actually going to step on a cupcake. There's the snare from Luke. Rafts is going to get the net. Nearly gets the damage with the guaranteed headshot, but it isn't quite there. And IQ is 201 is able to save lives with those fists.
Man, there's been a lot of action this game. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, yes, indeed. And the action is likely going to continue, provided directed camera chooses a different spot to hover than Poppy versus Maokai.
I'm telling you, this game is like, hey, top lane is super important. You don't even know. Look at all that
Oh,
excitement.
man. I mean, last time we were up there, there was a visit from the Vi. A visit, if you will. Don't laugh. You're just encouraging me. It's not good. It's a real problem. My family's had to stage multiple interventions.
They just haven't seemed to take hold yet.
No, not quite yet. One day I'll break the addiction, but today is not that day.
We can watch the action on the map at the very least.
We can indeed. As it's not really action, sort of lack thereof. IQ is 201 is attempting to base in a pretty dangerous spot there. As we see Luke roaming about a bit, getting some vision control, and maybe the continued focus on Shurima will come to another kill. IQ is 201 is coming into the mid lane here, and Shurima doesn't have much farther left to run. Focus gets him with an auto attack.
Focus is doing a really good job at getting right on top of him so the chain can't miss. And until Shurima gets his ultimate, there's no way for him to even juke that ability.
There's a really huge window of opportunity to just keep bullying the Kassadin here, but the window is going to close pretty soon. Level 6 is on the horizon. Long Dong Silver may be in some trouble now, though, as there's no level 6 from the Poppy, but it doesn't seem to be necessary. Long Dong Silver, without his flash, goes down.
Fortunately, he was chain CC'd long enough for those undertorch to start permanently slowing him. So, it's just a really even game so far. Both junglers are having lots of impact across the map.
Bottom lane, I would say, is the largest discrepancy, though the discrepancy is beginning to close. 2 kills for the Caitlyn is a pretty big deal, but Mackenzie has done a decent job of holding his own in farm. And Ezreal is going to peak where Caitlyn is going to trough as we get into the mid-game. And Caitlyn falls off a bit while Ezreal gets those first 2 item completions.
Both junglers are kind of there. The camera's... there he goes. Oh, cat person's...
Not really much more that 201 can do.
Not too much, not with that risk. And we do see that Shurima is level 5. He's getting close to level 6, but IQ is 201, has level 6.
Yeah, still without the ult. He's in some trouble, and there is an ult on the Vi. Continue to bully this Kassadin, and this is why we were worried by the pick. Shurima's going to go down for a 3rd time in the mid lane, but there's Black Frost getting hooked backwards. Black Shield used late. He did not anticipate that anchor having that much distance. Seriously, I'm pretty sure Luke is attaching magnets to the back of it.
Luke is a monster with that hook accuracy. But I don't think we've seen a hook miss so far since we've started watching whenever the camera's
Yeah, not this game, I don't think.
He's definitely on point today.
And not only the accuracy, like the range that he can squeeze out of that ability. I honestly didn't think it could go that far, and obviously neither did Black Frost, as his Black Shield was just a little bit too late. Luke is gonna get caught in the river here, though, and he's not tanky enough yet to survive focus. Meanwhile, Rafts is trying to punish a little bit, but he does get caught by the binding, and he may go down here. There's Mackenzie to kill, and over the wall, Luke is doing his best to survive, buying some time for Cat Person, but he goes down to a killing spree for focus, who I think is doing the right thing at this point, roaming out of the lane. There's no real point in bullying the Kassadin anymore. Go and try and spread that lead around, and spread some of it bottom lane.
Well, that is going to give the bottom lane of University of South Carolina, just bottom lane, give them some much needed breathing room because Luke and Rafts are just kind of punishing super hard with that range, and Luke's
yeah, but Mackenzie has done a good job of holding his own, as I said earlier.
Absolutely.
And he actually has a 10 CS lead now, with Rafts having gone down. So things are looking pretty good here for USC. Shurima, though, gets to the safety of his turret. I don't think continuing this attempt is all that well-intentioned. And yeah, USC's back off.
Cat Person's going to take that blue for himself, and now we see UFC has a very, very slight lead. It's only less than a couple thousand, but hello.
Oh, that's an early smite of Cat Person. Oh man, if he had vision, if he had known, he may have tossed that axe. But he still is going to chase IQ out of his own jungle, and maybe steal some things away. We'll see. He's a little bit tepid about this Raptor camp here, since there's support coming from multiple angles.
So they're kind of playing super careful here. We do see that Luke has gotten a ward down. Ooh, hook's no good.
That is the first missed hook we've seen, and it's going to be slamming itself straight into a wall, but Black Frost offers himself up as easy prey nonetheless. Cat Person, oh no! He had the last second of Ragnarok! He didn't go over the wall because he couldn't be moved by anything, not even blast cones. We'll see if Shurima can escape here. He's much more slippery now with that ulti. But that is so unfortunate for Cat Person. Oh no, he doesn't. Ragnarok isn't even on cooldown.
I guess he was.
Why didn't he go over the wall?
He must have just been outside the range.
Was he? I could have swore he was in the circle.
I imagine they did too, until he was like, oh no, I am now trapped.
I mean, Cat Person seemed content to just stand there and let the blast cone carry him over the wall. He must have seen that he was in the circle as well. It gives you that little indicator in game. That's really odd. Oh man, that hook onto Mackenzie. Followed up by the depth charge. Black Shield a little bit late, but Mackenzie gets away nonetheless.
There's just no comfort in that bottom lane when you have
None at
Luke
all.
in the lane.
Long Dong Silver is getting the better of this trade here with Holy. It's likely due to the fact that he did back a little bit more recently. Holy sitting on a larger pile of gold to spend.
I see Holy both have their Bammy Cinder and are working towards some kind of resistances to the enemy. Holy will likely complete his Spirit Vision before he goes for the Sunfire, I would imagine.
And we've seen a few more attempted ganks at the mid lane here from 201, but it's just not worked out as well as it has in the early game because now Shurima has 6. And maybe that's enough now for him to come back in the game. But it's come at the cost of a 4-0 LeBlanc, which is a pretty hefty cost as far as they go.
Since it's been so long, hello.
Raph's flashing away, but he's still within range of the stun even after netting, and he is just... And Holy's actually even going to be interrupted. Steadfast Presence keeps 201 from getting into the turret with him, though. Long Dong Silver will not regret his decision too much, though. He's able to back out pretty easily. Cat Person up in the top lane, though. Holy kind of low on mana.
201 does have his ult, but with Long Dong Silver out of mana as well, they're wisely deciding to back off.
Hook on the Black Frost. He's pulled into the turret. That's the turret aggro, and that's almost guaranteed to kill. Yeah, Shurima grabbing that one.
Not quite.
Overstay for the Morgana.
They're not respecting Luke despite how crazy his hooks have been.
Yeah, and not respecting the wave clear of the Kassadin either. There were like 3 or 4 minions left there, but Shurima just tossed that E down, and suddenly the minion wave was pretty much gone. So Black Frost was all alone with a turret and an evil Nautilus. Not a good combination.
Absolutely. Yep, we do see Raph's has returned to lane, and he's 2 and 3 now. He's still very slightly ahead of Mackenzie, though it's probably pretty even with those assists.
Yeah, it's about a 200 gold lead for the Caitlyn here. But we're getting to the point in the game where Caitlyn's going to start to drop off, and Ezreal's going to start to ramp up. So 200 gold is not nearly enough to compensate for that difference, I don't think. Not a bad trade for Shurima there, though.
No, not at all. The shield from his Q is discouraging some timing on some of those abilities.
Cat Person going for the solo play on the Dragon. He's going to be spotted out by Focus here, who finds himself another easy kill. And now Raph's getting over the wall with that net just barely. Is still going to be caught by a Dark Binding, and it's a double kill for the LeBlanc. 7-0 now. Focus is running away with this game, and he may very well get himself his 8th kill, and that would be legendary. In fact, according to the game, if he grabs it, but it's a flash away from the Nautilus. Multiple flashes to follow, though, and 201 claims the kill.
Reverie Esports is definitely in a tough spot here. We see that Focus is just kind of out of control with that LeBlanc.
Indeed, he is, and that's the price you pay for a Kassadin lane. Maybe just not enough respect towards the LeBlanc pick. Maybe not enough respect towards the LeBlanc player. Whatever it happens to be, it's paying huge dividends
to be
for
fair,
USC,
201
and
did
the
put
opposite
so
of huge
much
dividends
pressure
for
on the lane.
Rose Noir.
Yeah.
You're cutting in and out a little bit for me, Effect. Are you there?
Hello, testing.
Got you still? Test successful. All right.
All right.
Might have been just a momentary issue.
Okay. As I was saying, a lot of pressure was put onto him by Focus and 201. It just can cause a lot of trouble for a lane like Kassadin, who has limited escapes in the early game.
Especially when there was so much focus on the jungle, which caused a lot of early game powerhouse junglers to be taken out of the picture, and then Vi was picked away. So not only do you have this really weak lane into the LeBlanc, you also have a jungler who really can't help very much. Olaf is not known for his early pressure and his early ganking prowess. He's much more adept at forcing team fights and things like that. So he couldn't do much about the fact that Focus and 201 were just living in mid lane.
Oh my god.
Dang, that hook.
Mackenzie's like, please stop. I just want to poke.
I mean, at this point, though, it's not that big a deal. Because Mackenzie, as you can see, can just shift away after the hook lands. Not enough damage on Raps and Luke. Like, the Nautilus support is really, really powerful if the lane gets rolling, but if it doesn't, then he's just kind of a CC bot and his damage isn't nearly enough.
Blackfrost being really aggressive again.
Yeah, Blackfrost is going for that Dark Binding right after the stun lands, and Mackenzie eliminates Raps, and there's the second kill for him as well. An easy double for the Ezreal.
Absolutely. So Blackfrost and Mackenzie making a nice recovery with a bit of help from the mid and the jungle. But now they've more or less reversed the lane.
And I'm honestly interested to see where Mackenzie's build goes. I'd imagine Eternity, how well he's coming out of lane here, 3-1, which is a far cry from how the lane started. It was first blood to Raps, I believe. But Cat Person now being chased out of his own jungle, even through the Ragnarok down. And the second turret falls for USC.
Currently UFC, and do they just have USC? I'm just gonna call them USC because University of South Carolina. Wait, I'm taking the out now. Focus. Streamer just taking a huge chunk of damage.
LeBlanc is scary, especially when she's an item and a half or so ahead of you in terms of gold. LeBlanc is very, very scary. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen like a Dark Seal or something from Focus with how well he's been snowballing out this game, but he's going for a more conservative build path.
Wouldn't be surprised that Shreema building the Abyssal Scepter next, grabbing that Negatron clip right away as soon as he can afford it.
And I mean, there's a theory behind this composition, even though the lane may not have been ideal, and that's kind of what's come back to bite them in the butt here. Still, Kassadin's huge mobility and Caitlyn's good damage output in the later game, if they can play this game out to like 35-40 minutes, should be a saving grace for them. But it's going to be really tough getting that point if Focus does any sort of effective roaming.
Absolutely. They just need to find a way to stall this game out, but that's easier said than done if, like you said, if Focus roams.
There's a 3-man roam to the top side, though, and Long Dong Silver, kind of the one lane to not be doing so hot right now, focusing on that weak point, but it's not that weak of a point when the Maokai is able to tank for ages under the turret here. Cat Person pops and goes, and it looks like he'll be getting out of the turret safe. It's a lot invested for a kill onto a Maokai, who's already 0-1, though.
To be fair, they did do a very good job at switching the turret damage. The Cat Person was super low to going down.
Yeah, it was a well-executed dive. I'm just wondering as to the efficacy of diving in the first place, regardless of how well they actually played the dive out.
I mentioned they're just trying to get whatever the gold they can. Kenzie might be in trouble here. Oh.
Yeah, if Shreema can pick up a kill or two, he could be coming back into this game, but 201 is waiting over the wall and more than willing to dive under the turret. Rampage for himself. Depth charge, though, will be chasing after the Ezreal, but Luke just has nothing left to throw as his carry evaporated next to him. Speaking of evaporating, there's Raps doing just that.
That's very unfortunate for them. Focus is now 8-0-3, so he is a terrifying monster to anyone with no magic resist.
And 201 is a force to be reckoned with as well. I think we've put a lot of emphasis in the mid lane here, and I mentioned it once, but the jungle is where the final nail kind of got sealed in the coffin for Rose Noir. I'm going to get back to my point in a sec. Holy is getting chased down through his own jungle. 201 and Long Dong Silver are still on the hunt here, however, but Poppy proves a bit too tanky to be worth hunting down. And yeah, as I said, like, the fact that there was so much emphasis on the jungle picks, and they came out, I think, the worst for the wear, considering the rest of the picks here, it's been really, really rough for us now.
Holy looks like he might go down here. Focus is trying to pick him up. There it is.
Long Dong Silver with a finish, that arcane smash, more than enough damage. And now Luke turning the wrong corner is going to get a face full of Ezreal damage. Raps as well is going to get the wrong side of that stick. IQ 201 diving into the turret, force flash, and a heal, in fact. And now 5 men strong. USC are pushing for further advantages here.
Ooh, healers popped to save 201's life.
Yes, indeed.
And we see USC walking away with almost no health.
They're in position to potentially go towards this dragon that's spawning in just a few moments. But they will be a little bit low on health going for it. They've got themselves an Ocean Drake. They've regened a bit off of that. Once they start the dragon, the regen will be cancelled, as large objectives do cancel that. At least for whoever's being hit, which is only 201 at the so.
Well, looks looks like they're going to very easily take it. We have a pause, it seems.
Just as the dragon is dying. Now that is a fancy animation right there. Look at that. His soul is like being split out of its body and
Who do you think they
smoky
are?
black
Dovahkiin or
tendrils.
something?
Yeah, it reminds me of that. I just imagine seeing these scaly, stony bones melt off of its body now. And a little bit flies into each member of the team. That's kind of what happens. You steal away part of the dragon's power when you kill it. Maybe,
I can see that.
maybe Skyrim takes place in Runeterra. That's just a theory, a game theory.
That's silly.
Oh man, it's been a long day.
It has been a
I have
long
already been
day.
casting for 4 hours or something along those lines, and now we've got how many games are we into the day here today at
we
Reverie?
have one more after this.
One more after this. Is that it? One more best of 3 though, right?
I don't think it is because this is a round robin tournament because only 3 teams are signed up
Oh,
for it.
all right. Oh yeah, we don't have all that many teams in
Yeah.
this month's buy-in.
Our
sadly.
buy-ins are a little smaller than usual, unfortunately.
That's all right though.
And currently,
It's oh man. Yeah. I'll be okay though. I'll be just fine. My voice still sounds all right, right? Right effect. I'm not developing any sort of like accent or something from talking for this long. I don't know.
Nope.
I'm not a doctor. I don't do medicine.
no, you seem to be just fine. There's no even the robotiness from last night is gone. So whatever
That's
was
good.
causing
Yeah.
that is.
I looked into my internet a little bit, and I'm really not sure what could have been causing it. But it's all the internet is a magical thing. Sometimes it just has a mind of its own, and occasionally you get issues. But it looks like we've got to reconnect. Speaking of internet and connection issues, from Shurima, and we'll be getting back to the action very shortly, I imagine.
Hopefully, they might be taking their time. Unfortunately, I have the chat off, so we'll have to wait it out. And looking at it's just so far, USC still has pretty firm control of this map. I can hear chat going on. I'm assuming they're saying they're ready.
Yeah, and it really is just all down to it's like Rose Noir picked themselves into a corner here with the Cassidon Olaf, and LeBlanc doesn't have any inhibiting factors. Like Focus is able to just go all out all the time because there's very very little that can stop those LeBlanc right here. Like it's pretty easy for LeBlanc to get around the Nautilus unless Luke wants to use depth charge, in which case he's not using depth charge on Mackenzie. And Mackenzie can run free. Olaf can't do anything about LeBlanc, really, not when she's fed. And Poppy has some stopping power. Distortion does actually get stopped by the W, but it's really like 1, maybe 2 abilities they can use to stop this out of control LeBlanc. So the only real solution was not to let LeBlanc get out of control.
And speaking of Blanc going out of control, Holy might be in pretty big trouble here.
Yeah, here's that roam we were talking about. Focus coming towards the top side. Oh, the Steadfast Presence a little bit too late. It has to be burned. That may just buy enough time for Holy to get out, but Focus has returned from his brief hiatus down the lane, and 201 is there to claim the kill.
Between 201 and Focus, they just have firm control of all the lanes.
And Mackenzie also just burned his ult bottom lane, going for a heavy push with this Ezreal split. So pretty much regardless of what happens up here, we're going to see an advantage game. See as they look to take an inhibitor turret at the same time as positioning around this top lane outer. I don't understand, actually, Rose Noir's insistence on grouping around this top lane outer. It's just an outer turret. They're losing elsewhere in the map. Yeah, they're going to be backing off. They're realizing this right now, but it may be a little bit too late to realize this, as Raps is going to go down. 201 is dominating. Catperson is trying his best to get something done, but there's really just not much an underfed Olaf can do in this situation. As Shurima backs out just barely with his void tail between his void legs. Under that skirt or whatever it is that Cassidon wears. And I'm really confused, actually, as to what's going on there, but I don't want to know in the end. And it's 21-6. USC are commanding this game.
Absolutely. We did lose that bottom inhibitor for the side of Rose Noir, but the inhibitor was saved.
Mm-hmm.
And still, that's more than worth it because they won the team fight and they got the turret, which of course opens up that inhibitor to anyone coming by and saying this turret is dead.
Yeah. A lot of that, I think, was just Rose Noir being a little slow to realize as a team that what was happening top wasn't like some sort of just all-out random team fight. It was a concerted push to take that turret down, and then a little slow to realize that that turret isn't worth defending. They're going to lose an inhibitor turret if they try and defend that. In the end, they actually lose both. And it seemed like they realized that toward the end. Rose Noir started to back off, but they had been flanked already, and it was too late.
Yeah, 201 and Focus showed up, and they're just so far ahead of everyone on the side of Rose Noir. Trinity
As I
Force
said,
Black
there's-
Cleaver Vi is
there
quite
is,
scary.
I suppose, a way back into this game for Rose Noir, especially with a Trinity Force Black Cleaver Vi. It is incredibly right now, but at forward, damage Vi does start to scale off a bit. And Kassadin is crazy good in the end game, but not so much right now, as we see Focus claiming yet another kill in this Kassadin pick.
Nice little dive by Long Nung Silver was able to lock him up more than long enough for Focus to come in and say hi.
Another turret goes down in the top lane, and again, USC are returning. It appears to be a favorite strategy. They've got a 4-man top and a 1 almost goes down as things are disastrous in the team fight, but disastrous still on the other side of the map as well. And to keep in mind that this whole time, a Vi is split pushing and an inhibitor is going down. Pretty much regardless of what happens up here, an ace happens up here. This is the ideal situation for USC. But even if they didn't get that, they would still be pushing an advantage. They would still be getting an inhibitor. And now they may even just win the game. There's the dive onto Shurima.
Oh, wow.
It's another ace, technically speaking.
They've Cat Person has 3 seconds. I don't think he'll be able to stop this though.
Likely not, especially with those multiple Trinity Force procs to melt buildings down. That person is up, Raps is up as well, but even if they hold out here, the hopes of winning the game as a whole are just evaporated. And
it's gonna
there
be
goes the
game
Nexus.
2, or the second round of this tournament, going to USC, University of South Carolina.
All right, a well-earned victory for sure, and we're going to the final game of the night very soon.
And for those of you just joining us, it is going to be Reverie Esports facing off against Rose Noir Esports. And we'll be back shortly, so don't go anywhere, folks.
Feel paralyzed. make amends with the demons you've been through. I can't regret leaving you alone until you find your way back home. Until you find your way back home. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown.
Hmm. And we already see the LeBlanc and the Vi, so that combo has been banned away. Admittedly, a different team this time, but a lot of respect for those two champions together, it seems, for the side of Rose Noir. Deliberating, in fact, on this final ban here. I don't entirely know where Overhype should go. It seemed like Jungle Focus did pretty well against Cat Person. Kindred is an interesting choice, and Lee Sin taken out of the mix as well. So some more Jungle Focus this time around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really it was a combination of the LeBlanc having a good matchup and the jungler on the other side being Cat Person, being in Olaf and being unable really to assist his mid lane as it was floundering in the laning phase that led to such an early defeat. But we'll see if Rose Noir makes similar mistakes or if they can bounce back from that and come out swinging this next game. Karma will be the first pick, a very safe first pick at that. Hmm. One of the nice things is she's so versatile that Karma can fit into a lot of different positions and composition types. She's good for engage because she has the speed buff. She's good for disengage because she has the speed buff as well. She can fit in a siege composition. She's got decent poke herself, and really just Karma is as safe as you can get for a first pick. So no surprises there really, and no surprises either from Rafs and Luke going back to the Caitlyn Nautilus bottom lane. If there was anything that was a bright light of hope for Rose Noir last game, it was the bottom lane duo. So I don't think there's anything that needs to be changed there particularly. All right. The Poppy picked away. Yeah. And once again, we're at a sort of impasse here as far as jungle picks goes. There's been so many jungle bans and so many, and the Olaf's been picked away that Cat Person again has to step into a new jungle role. And I'm curious to see where he goes this time around. If he is a proponent of Lee Sin, there are a few other picks that you could go with. I mean, not a lot of people are playing Graves nowadays, but he's still just fine in my opinion. Maybe not top tier anymore, but good for an aggressive style. Elise is strong as well. There you go. Zillion would be highly defensive. They've already got Peel in the form of Poppy and Karma. Zillion would then allow them to move incredibly quickly. They should pick a hyper carry behind the Zillion if they go with it. Jin is something of a hyper carry. He operates a lot differently than other hyper carries do. He's more burst oriented. I do like the Vayne a lot better if they do choose to go with the Zillion. Hmm, indeed. I don't think they're going to go with Aatrox. They're just toying with us casters. Oh boy. Um, but I like the Vayne pickup. They've got a team composition that can support it for sure. The enemy team has some range already in the form of Caitlyn, but has picked two tanks, so Vayne can thrive in that sort of situation. And the last pick here is not likely to be something that's going to hard counter Vayne. Yasuo. Okay, that's really quite interesting. That leaves them a bit lacking in magic damage. I suppose their off tanks, or their tanks rather, with Maokai and Nautilus, have some magic damage to their names, and then it's an AP jungle. So Yasuo mid is just about as strong here as he's going to be.
Somehow my mic is muted and you could hear me, but the stream couldn't. I don't.
Oh, oh, that may have been an issue. Effect was making good points. He was covering interesting things as promise, folks. I promise. I was at least interested in what Effect had to say, for sure.
I was also interested in what I had to say. I'm just confused as how. I what?
Apologies for that, everybody.
Deeply sorry. I didn't realize. Well, apparently I have two mics now, so I will. I'll figure that out later. And
Oh man, but
So-
just going over what we see here once again. I'm a little bit worried again for Shurima's laning phase. They've picked a pretty weak laning champion for Shurima. This time around, though, Cat Person, pardon me, is on a champion, which will be able to lend him a little bit more assistance coming out of the jungle. And Nicholas isn't on as good of a champion for camping a lane. So there are some other factors that have certainly changed. And if we look down bottom lane, where previously we've seen success for Rose Noir, Rafs and Luke have an advantage here. Vayne is very powerful moving in the late game, but has issues with the laning phase that are only going to be exacerbated by a Caitlyn.
And we've seen how incredibly accurate Luke is with his hooks. If he can continue to maintain that, they're going to put a lot of pressure onto CLG Chick. We'll have to see if they can continue to do that, or how well Jiggity Jam can protect CLG Chick. Jiggity Jam is an awesome name, by the way.
That's going to be a fun one to say while I'm play-by-play casting, but we'll have to get to that in just a few minutes. We do have this through.
Alright, so on that note, we are going to take a small commercial break, and we'll be back as soon as possible, so don't go anywhere, folks.
So I said, no, 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 it was supposed to be my pentakill. What did you do to me? I killed, I know, want to free for champions. I can't believe you're trolling. No, it was supposed to be my pentakill. What did you do to me? I killed, I know, want to free for champions. I can't believe you're trolling.
Wait a minute!
I said no, 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 it was supposed to be my pentakill. Why did you die to me? I killed alone, 1, 2, 3 for champions. I can't believe you're trolling. No, it was supposed to be my pentakill. Why did you die to me? I killed alone, 1, 2, 3 for champions. I can't believe you're trolling.
And here we are, we have made it to the rift of this potentially last game of the evening if Overhyped crushes it. We'll have to see if Reverie Esports can come back from the brink, though.
And they are indeed on the brink. If they lose out here, I think it was Overhyped that take the tournament as a whole. And it would be one of our shortest buy-in tournaments, actually, I believe, ever. At least ever that I've been on the desk for. It would only have been 3 games.
That seems to be that would definitely be the case, because we don't frequently have buy-ins with only 3 teams. That's just the nature of December, unfortunately, though.
Yeah, everybody out on winter break, celebrating their holidays. Nobody got time for us here over at Rev. Rose Noir still got time for us. You know, Overhyped, they still got time for us. And these are some darn good one way or another. Chick and Jiggity Jam go adventuring into the enemy jungle. They find themselves a Nautilus. And they're going to forced to head back home. But we're before the 1 minute 11 or 1 minute 12 mark, however, base and still get back to wherever you need to go in time.
Well, Nicholas and Impale doing a little bit of a ward invade there. Get some pressure on, get a nice bit of vision onto that red buff, where Cat Person seems to be starting, possibly.
I have no time for this.
Actually, didn't really notice it, but there is also a ward on the Rosnar blue side as well, so they are going to know where Cat Person is starting no matter what.
Hitting me is like boxing
Very well played.
Yeah, and even with a ward only on one side, you'd still know where Cat Person is starting. Nowadays, nobody does anything. One buff or the other.
That is true.
Pretty easy process of elimination once you've determined whether or not they're starting at one of them. And the first minion of the lane does not go down for a bad start. We'll see how he can recover from it. You can't tell me. A little sarcastic there, but still. It can be demoralizing, for sure.
Very curious to see how Luke plays this lane out, because he was a pretty strong powerhouse in the early game last time.
Speaking of Luke, he's actually made an interesting choice here. He's gone with Riptide as his first level up. That's the E, so that he can shove up the lane a little bit more quickly and hit level 2 more quickly with Rafts and Luke as well in that lane. And I think it's the right choice here. You want to hit that level 2, try and bully back the Vayne, and gain control of the lane as quickly as possible. See whether or not it pays off.
He's starting off by hitting every minion, proccing his passive, which does a little more damage than regular auto attacks. He's letting them push hard.
Jiggity Jam and Chick, though, did a good job of keeping up in terms of minion damage and at the same time, so well survived by the bottom lane duo of Overhyped.
Holy and Impaled going at it. Very, very typical Poppy versus Maokai matchup.
one of the only things that is atypical about this matchup. Holy on the Poppy, so that was actually stolen away from him in the chance play. So we'll see how comfortable he is on the other side of the match. As Luke and Rafts are still looking to shove this lane up. If they can't get the level 2 advantage, maybe they'll get the level 3.
I think Jim's doing a really good job of harassing Raft as well. He's constantly landing Qs and auto attacks.
This is the value of having the ranged versus melee. Even if the AD carries perhaps are mismatched against you, if you have the card thresh or whatever it happens to be, that can be enough to bounce it out and give the Vayne some breathing room to farm. And that's really what we're seeing here with Jiggity Jam. With all of these empowered Qs that he's landing one after another. It's kept an even CS total between these two AD carries.
Pale getting some nice damage on the Holy. He does not land the wall charge though.
Yeah, and Holy's able to turn it back around a little bit. And he's going to have the sustain advantage here, especially since the corrupting pots have all been burned from Impaled. That's only provided Holy doesn't go down in the next skirmish.
Cat person finding a ward and managed to kill it.
Things are relatively quiet in the game here, but quiet is good for the team with the Vayne. Good as well, though, for the team with the Yasuo, as Shurima's been doing a good job of surviving the early lane himself as well in a not-so-favorable matchup there.
Yeah. It is an Olaf, so there's not quite as much pressure.
Oh, man, though. Yeah, Shurima, that was a bit of an aggressive trade. He comes out on the worst end of it, but he is the one that's rocking the Ignite. A little bit higher damage. Stun on Nicholas. There is no Olaf ulti, not quite yet. There's the wall to break the axe as well. First blood to the Yasuo. That's exactly what you want to see if you're Rose Noir.
Absolutely. It was a nice, very nicely placed wind wall, blocking the undertow. Making sure that there were no undertow resets.
Oh man, but here's the 2v2 from CLG Chick. Jam. The exhaust onto Rafts. There's a ton of damage now coming onto the Kate, and the flash forward from Chick. He was going for the stun, but he actually just breaks vision into the bush for himself. Rafts is going to stay alive because of that. He flashes back into the other side of the bush. It's a double kill for the Caitlyn.
Wow. Rafts is so close to dying that entire fight.
A half an inch, multiple pixels. That's all it took for that condemned not to be a stun, and for Rafts to turn it around for a double kill instead of Chick getting a first blood, or pardon me, not quite first blood, but getting a kill for himself.
That is going to put Rose Noir in a nice lead, giving them some much-needed hope for taking this game away. Oh, Mark Boots getting
There's
caught out.
the cocoon into Mark Boots, a repel over the wall, and a little bit of extra pressure in the mid lane as Mark Boots gets bullied back. And this is a darn good start for Rose Noir.
Yeah, imagine, especially Wrath, is really appreciating that. It was so close. It looked like CLG Chick had it.
That's got to feel rough. Yeah, it was.
Wow, that's
I don't know if it was the neurotoxin or the spiderling, but one way or another, cat person got the grump.
some nice chunk of gold for cat person.
Mm.
It's a cat person playing a spider.
Just a morale boost as well for Rose Noir, who are coming out of a crushing defeat and are now in a comfortable laning phase pretty much across the board. Even top lane Holy is showing that he can indeed handle this matchup the other way around and has a bit of a CS lead for himself. Getting some help now from cat person. The Venomous Bite doesn't land as Impale does block that damage, but he flashes away nonetheless and to summon her down.
Alright, now where is our next bit of action going to be? That did force Impaled's flash. So that is going to be very valuable for a follow-up gank, possibly.
Mm-hmm. And I like cat person on a higher impact early game jungle pick. Much more than the Olaf. I can see why there were jungle bans focused his way over the last 2 games when he's given this Elise, or perhaps Lee Sin, or just any of these early game junglers. He is seeming to be much better than he did on the Olaf. Admittedly, he's also got lanes that he can work with a bit more easily, but the fact is he's coming together pretty well. But, you know, just as I give him a few laurels, he does get caught out going for an aggressive.
I believe he's still got the buff, though. And, if the camera ever rotates to one of the junglers, I think we can confirm that. But I do believe he was able to take that. He was also forced to
wearing a
flash.
blue buff right now. Yeah, he's wearing a blue buff right now, and his blue is about to come up. So he did manage to steal away the buff, at the very least. I don't know if I'd call that worth it, but more worth it than not taking the buff for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, that was an aggressive anchor from Luke. He's going to find himself under the turret, but he does have Titan's Wrath to get himself out pretty cleanly.
he didn't hit anyone, so the turret wasn't hitting the whole time as well. CLG Chick taking a nice chunk of damage from that Q.
Holy getting slammed against the wall there as Impaled goes for a trade. Still finds the worst end of it though. Hammer's not so great at chopping down trees, it seems.
I'm gonna beat the tree in a submission.
Yeah, usually not the greatest of strategies.
Shurima,
Things are
keep going
rough for
wide.
Nicholas this game. Yeah, Nicholas has had a difficult time finding success, both in his own jungle and in ganks. Maybe Olaf is just a cursed pick in tonight's tournament.
Maybe, I don't know. Holy going with a rather unusual build. He's picked up another Dorn's Ring and a Corrupting Pot. He's trying to take control of this lane through
Yeah.
damage.
And it's a bit of a different way than we've seen a lot of the other Maokai's play, so maybe this is just the Holy... Jiggity Jam is in some real trouble. There's Luke with the kill. The depth charge finds its mark. Nicholas, though, is around to the bottom lane. We'll see if he can claim at least a return kill. No, Rafs has the killing spree as Elise shows up for a Venomous Bite or two. And things are going from good to better for Rose Noir. Shurima, though, gets pulled back by that shockwave, and Mark Boots is getting some great damage, and the wind wall expires just in time for the flash forward into the command attack, and Mark Boots gets the first kill of the game for Overhyped Esports.
You do see Rose Noir still has control of that another double kill going to their bottom lane. Putting that's gonna put Rafs at 3-0 with a 1 assist.
Catapulting him ahead, indeed. And that was after such a promising start from Chick, but just a crucial mistake in that early duel sets them this far back. Impaled, though, getting a stun onto Holy forces his flash the turret.
And Holy not having quite enough mana to finish off Impaled there.
And looks like, potentially, Nicholas wants to take advantage of this opening, but it seems like Holy's jungle senses are tingling. He's backing away.
Wise choice. That is going to be the first dragon of the game being picked up by Rose Noir. They're in a very good spot for this game.
Indeed, they are. We could very well be moving into even more games tonight. As we see Shurima finishing off the Phantom Dancer. And Rafs claims a few more pieces of some of those potent AD carry items. Admittedly, I wouldn't say that Overhyped is so far back to be irretrievable, particularly with that kill onto Mark Boots. So Shurima's looking to claim one back for himself, it seems.
He does have that Phantom Dancer, so he is getting a little bit of damage reduction, but we still...
Is that a panic pink ward? I think Mark Boots tried to pop a potion and dropped a pink ward in the lane by accident.
I believe you're correct.
Oh well.
It's more of a salmon ward.
It's not that big a deal.
Oh, we see Nicholas
But
is
Nicholas is here in the mid lane. And Nicholas has had such a rough time finding any sort of opening into this game.
See, like you said, it's a Olaf curse currently. I have to see if he can somehow make a recovery in the mid game.
They've got methods by which to get Olaf into a fight. You know, they've got karma. One of the reasons why I'm still holding out some measure of hope for Overhyped is their composition is well put together. They got through the draft pretty darn well. It's just in certain lanes they ended up counterpicking themselves to some degree. I mean, Caitlyn v. Vayne is the age-old counterpick, and that's come back to bite them, it seems.
Absolutely. If there's gonna be any saving grace, it seems to be probably gonna be Mark Boots. Oriana's always been a strong character for comebacks because of the power of her ultimate.
Yeah, Mark Boots being able to carry through the mid game and giving enough time for CLG Chick to climb up into the ranks of Vayne's true power. And then we get some team fights perhaps that turns it back around for Overhyped. That's the storyline they're looking to get. But Rose Noir are going to try and close this one out as swiftly as possible.
Nope. Holy, might be in trouble here.
Yeah, Holy still doesn't have that flash available from his ill-fated tower dive early. He's relatively tanky and actually doesn't quite get stunned up against the wall. There's a little bit of miscommunication. Got on some damage off the back of the keeper's verdict. And that's another kill for Cat Person showing up opportunistically.
He had a good reaction time there. He was able to show up just in time to get a cocoon onto Impaled, and that let them finish off Nicholas before he could get away.
Nicholas continues to have bad luck here as Mark Boots is going to find himself in an unfortunate situation. Ace in the hole comes through just for the assist. Raf's claiming a little bit of extra gold when Shurima gets the kill.
Certainly. Still not over, but this is looking very grim at the 12-minute mark. 12.5-minute mark.
Rose Noir are going to be taking for themselves the second turret here, it seems. A little bit of free farm for Chick is sort of the price, I suppose, but it's a price that's very easily paid.
Yeah, another turret that is going to open up the mid lane a bit more.
And the next move is really very much dictatable by Rose Noir at this point. The game is theirs to command moving forwards, particularly Cat Persons, who seems to have been at the right place at the right time to stop Nicholas's ganks almost every single time.
I'm very curious to see what kind of Elise build he goes for. See if he goes a more tanky route or if he goes heavy AP for heavy damage. Based off Renault's previous style, I'm assuming he's going to go tankier, because they tend to seem to like those heavy tank lines. Would you see that Chick is up in that top lane?
Is a Vayne gank even a thing that can happen? Chick is coming up to the top side. No, Holy's just going to walk away. It's the best defense as a Maokai. Walk in the direction away from enemy champions. Works out pretty often.
It's the best defense for everybody, I think.
I just noticed that Holy is all dressed up for the Christmas spirit. That's nice. Anybody else dressed up? Nicholas is in his frosty Olaf skin as well. We've got people in the winter holiday spirit here. Ain't that nice?
It is awesome.
Ain't that nice? In fact, is that not nice? That's pretty nice.
It's very
pretty
cold,
swell.
though. I could do without
You
the
can
cold.
tell it's swell because of the way it is. It's not that cold. We're in Texas. Texas is never cold.
Anything under 75 is too cold.
No, sir. Anything over 75 is too hot. Chick is going to be held up in the air for a little bit longer. However, he can make the distance. Karina's going to dash back out towards that caster. Minion and Jiggity Jam gets knocked up by a nasty little tornado. And the push maybe continues in the mid lane.
Mark Boots is
Mark
in a
Boots
good
is waiting around the corner, though. Oh, he finds two.
Surprised he didn't ult there. He could have done quite a bit of damage to Raps there.
Potentially, but Flash was still available for the Caitlyn. Still, though, trading ult for Flash wouldn't have been a horrible thing. But maybe Mark Boots is waiting for ultimate value with his Shockwave.
Getting some good poke down on the Holy. Holy trying to kind of sit off to the side and wait for a flank, but there was a vision there.
Dragon will be up in about 30 seconds, though. Let's see exactly which one that is. I believe it's a Mountain Drake. It's a Mountain Drake, in fact, yeah. That would actually be really, really nice for Rosnor to get. That'll enhance their sieging capabilities by a long shot with a Caitlyn on their roster.
Especially a 3-0 and 2 Caitlyn who already has Runa's finished.
Before, in fact, CLG Chick is able to complete a single item, he's 1.5 items through his build, which is pretty intense. And there's really no contest for this dragon at this point. The Mountain Drake is going to go down. And the buff to the Caitlyn will be obtained. Pushing power galore.
Rosnor continues their domination of this game, extending their gold lead up to about 7k, 8k.
And all they really have to do is just kind of group and force the issue somewhere. Maybe grab that Rift Herald now, since they've got positioning on the top side, and yeah, that seems to be on their minds. And just don't make mistakes. Like they really don't have to make any solid, amazing plays themselves. They just simply have to not make any big mistakes that the enemy team can capitalize on. It seems like maybe they're thinking that this Rift Herald is in. There's a 2-man Shockwave, but the Wind Wall is going to block any further. Good timing from Shurima.
Very well timed to basically stop any pressure, any additional damage. And, that is going to delay the Rift Herald at the very least, but it's just one thing out of many.
The Rift Herald isn't exactly the most important of buffs, and in fact, trading that Orianna ult just for pressure really is just fine, because Mark Boots is the focal point of the team right now. He's the only one killed on Overhyped. He's the only one that came out of a lane doing all right, even. And if they can just steal away, sap away any sort of power that Orianna can bring to a team fight, they win that team fight almost every time.
Absolutely. They need just to, like we said earlier, but they need to buy time for CLG Chick to recover. If they can get him going or her going, I'm assuming her because it's CLG Chick. Unless it's a chicken.
Potentially. You never know. It could be a chicken. Could very well be a chicken.
It's a baby chicken.
We've had stranger things. That's for sure.
Giving
For
time,
darn sure.
giving time for CLG Chick to recover will give them a really good shot at winning this game. Vayne is, of course, super high damage, but it all depends on how Rosenor plays this out. Obviously, they shouldn't sit on their laurels and wait. They need to put pressure.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely don't want to allow the Vayne to scale up, but there's no reason to play it too fast either. They can just go for this Rift Herald, give that over to most likely Holy. Yeah. He's going to be a almost unstoppable pushing machine. Honestly, it'd be interesting to see him go for like a ZZ Rot portal next. And then they just commit hard to the split pushing Maokai. They just put him in a lane, have that lane be almost impossible to answer problem, and the rest of the team shoves up mid. But it seems like the whole team wants to shove up mid here. As Luke goes for a hook.
Raph's putting some traps down on the sides. Nicholas is able to get over to the turret in time. Raph's is just destroying the turret.
Nicely placed wind wall, going to block a lot of that wave clear. And the turret nearly goes down. And the shove's going to continue. CLG Chick has abandoned his bottom lane to come here to the mid lane, so that's a lot of farm that's being lost out on the Vayne because of this pressure.
He's super close to finishing his Infinity Edge, which will be his first big power spike, but he's 2 to 3 levels behind.
That's a big deal as well, yeah. That's a lot of health missing, a lot of base damage missing, and particularly for Vayne nowadays who like to tumble first, it's a lot of potential missing to like one-shot someone, take a lot of health off someone at a moment's notice.
Mark Boots able to steal away that blue buff. Very good little pickup for him.
Red buff is still obtained by Overhyped though, so one of the two. Not bad, I suppose, given the situation they're in. And I feel like maybe Rose Noir are playing this a little bit too slowly. We saw this last night. They had another game where they had a pretty crushing, and even though they did win, my main criticism, they weren't
Cut out a little bit there.
Oh, pardon. Sorry about that. Last night we saw a game where Rose Noir had a similar lead to this, if not a more potent one even. And my main criticism for them was that they let the game stretch out a little bit too long. And even though they did end up winning that one in the end, it was just a little bit... My main criticism would be that they stretched it far too long, and they took the path of most resistance every now and then.
I definitely agree on the notion that they definitely should be pushing more. Get that drop portal onto Holy, let him sit up inside, because there's no one who can kill him. Not very quickly at least, and he can stall for forever while the rest of his team takes.
But you can see there's still like an emphasis on going for the secondary turret. They will get it, but I feel like in this time they could have gotten 2 turrets, maybe gotten themselves just better positioning for vision. As you see, they don't actually have all that great vision in the enemy jungle right now. And admitting Rose Noir is still winning this game, I'm not going to say that. They're not like doing horribly. But when you're trying to compete at a higher level, you have to look at the wins and the losses and see how you could do better. Whether or not they come out winning or losing this game, you have to consider even the positions where you're doing well, you have to think, how can I do better?
Absolutely. And we do see Holy was pushing that bottom side a little bit, but he is opting to head back up to mid.
Shreema gets a small shove going top lane, as Impaled inhabits the bottom lane for a little bit. CLG Chick trying to grab as much farm as he can, but he's kind of a lost duck at the moment. Doesn't really have anywhere safe to inhabit. And things are looking grim for Overhyped for sure, even with some of the potential mistakes that Rose Noir is making.
The next dragon is up. It looks like another air drake. So not the most important drake, but they're going to go ahead and take it away for themselves. It will be much faster.
It will certainly be helpful. Particularly for a team with a Maokai. I'd say that that's one of the champions, that type of champion benefits from it the most. A sort of slow-moving juggernaut who's very threatening once they get in range. Maokai, Nautilus, things like that.
Almost meeting his demise there, or at least forcing a flash.
There's a 5-man group on the bottom side, though, and this turret is going to be forfeit very quick. Wind wall comes down, a little bit late to block the damage from the Karma, though. There's a 4-man ulti from Impaled. Mark Boots is the target of the Nautilus ulti, the target as well as the ace in the hole. A lot of damage onto Mark Boots, but Nicholas gets a kill onto Cat Person, and this is without the Vayne, in fact, who is still up in the top lane, getting some good farm for himself. Rafts goes dangerously low as Luke turns around to try and re-engage. And 1 kill traded for the turret is not worth it for Overhyped, but that looked promising as far as a team fight goes.
Especially because you mentioned Sealchick wasn't there. If he had, oh, hello.
Oh, it's a flash hook onto Nicholas, who does not have the Ragnarok, but Impaled is going to be stunning Luke against the wall. Done here by Shurima as he dashes into the back of the fight. Impaled knocked up for an easy kill going to Rafts. But here's Mark Boots flashing, and he gets 1, he gets 2. It's a double kill for the Orianna, but a trap on the way out is going to snare him up, and that is doom for him. Meanwhile, though, Vayne still pushing topside, going to get at least some damage on the turret and a lot of farm. So that looked bad for Overhyped, and in fact, it was bad, but it wasn't disaster like it could have been.
Looks like they're most likely gonna lose that bottom inhibitor, though Impaled and Jiggity Jam are gonna be spawning in time to maybe save the actual inhibitor.
Yeah, the turret is going down for sure. And the Yasuo does have a lot of damage right now, so maybe it goes down, but no, they're gonna back away.
They are very wisely backing off. Unfortunately, Sealchick not quite able to take that turret since Cat Person showed up to stop that.
And yeah, Overhyped are still very much in a rough position this game, for sure. But at this point, it's pretty clear that Mark Boots is the central point of these team fights. And I imagine Rose Noir, if they're going to keep picking these fights, which they seem so fond of picking, they really do like to group as 5, then Mark Boots is going to be the focus moving forwards.
Absolutely. He's definitely doing a lot of damage. Cat Person in a lot of trouble.
Pick here into Cat Person. Jiggity Jam is going to get that binding. The Cocoon has already been used, as has the Repel, and Cat Person goes down. That's a really good pick. I don't know if CLG can stop Shurima by himself. Oh my god, no, he cannot. Final hour is there, and the Condemn goes down, but Shurima are going through. And there's no one around to stop Shurima. Impaled will get stopped by that Riptide.
We do see Jiggity Jam is down there. Ooh, Raft's taking
Two-man
a
shockwaves. Raft gets that final auto. Mark Boots gets another kill. But Shurima is still split pushing. He finds an inhibitor. The stun does not land against the wall. Now Mark Boots is the focus, but there's no more damage to throw his way. We'll see if Shurima goes down in this 2v1 here. Impale doing some great damage to him. He's going to turn back around onto the support, just bullying that Karma into the dirt, and now dashing away from the secondary proc of the Hammer Shock. There's the stun from Impaled, though, and that's the shutdown for the Poppy. But they're not letting them back yet. They're going to continue to stop the ports.
That is going to be
Overhyped they're getting some glimmers of light, but every time it comes at such a cost. It's always a Pyrrhic victory.
Very, very heavy price there. They lost lost that bottom inhibitor, and CLG just was demolished by that Shurima's Yasuo. Wasn't any way for him to get out of that, unfortunately.
At least CLG had the awareness to realize he was already dead, and he did not burn the flash or the heal or anything like that. You know, that's one situation in which I'm not going to be, like, harsh on him for not using the summoners to escape, because he really couldn't have used the summoners to escape there. I don't think they would have provided enough benefit, and holding on to them for a later fight when maybe they're going to make the difference, I think is the right call.
Absolutely. And we're seeing just how dangerous Mark Boots is. One combo and an auto attack was enough to basically completely eliminate Rafts out of that fight.
Yeah, and that's the power that they're going to have to rally behind if Overhyped want to find their way back into this game. But Baron is now a very real point of contention, and I don't know if Overhyped has a good answer to this problem as it gets started off.
RCB has very firm control of the vision around that area. They have multiple of those semicolons.
Oh, and that's unfortunate. That's so unfortunate for Overhyped too, because not only does Nicholas have to burn that ult, you can't blast cone in Olaf ult. You can't do it. Not only does Nicholas have to burn the Ragnarok on the way out, but also a Baron fight is pretty much the one time where Overhyped would have had a great opportunity to come back to the game. Because, of course, Orianna's AoE is amazing in Baron Pit, and Baron shreds the magic resist of whatever team is taking it. So, right then, if Overhyped had been in position, they could maybe have come back into this game, but now it's looking even more difficult.
You see that Holy has his 2 core tank items, so he is extremely durable. Very, very strong.
That was a teleport from the Poppy. This is an engaged fight by Overhyped. I'm not sure how intelligent it is to start off this 5v5 here, but they haven't lost anybody yet. Mark Boots is going to be focused down here, though, and Seal Shurima in a repeat of our earlier performance. Double kill for Shurima as Impaled actually shuts him next to his target. He does get the shutdown in the end, but he just sealed the deal on that Orianna kill. And Rose Noir push in now, potentially for a victory. They're rotating towards the mid lane instead of taking this outer turret top.
They're going to go ahead and just go straight to the bottom to join that minion wave and probably push in this turret.
Yeah, they've got Baron buff minions. They've got super minions to help them out. I don't see any way that Overhyped stay in this. And that's got to be really unfortunate for Overhyped because they had so many ways back in this game. Rose Noir made a few mistakes here and there, but never were they large enough mistakes for Overhyped to take advantage of, and never was Overhyped in the right situation at the right time.
Well, Rose Noir didn't stall out his, didn't let the stall out happen. And it could have been faster, but it wasn't like they were too slow on the subject. And while we get set up and we get ready for these tiebreakers, take a small music break, and we'll be back in just a few moments, guys, so don't go anywhere.
Swear it's been 700 degrees in here since you came in. I could swear that this room has been running out of air, and now it's starting to spin. You make me feel kind of bad, kind of good, kind of everything, yet it doesn't feel like it should. You make me feel kind of wrong, kind of right, kind of anything, and I would change it if I could. I could swear that I'm fainting, I think I'm losing my sight, I swear I'm hitting the floor. I could swear that my stomach just sunk a meter, I'll be dead if I take any more. You make me feel kind of bad, kind of good, kind of everything, yet it doesn't feel like it should. You make me feel kind of wrong, kind of right, kind of anything, and I would change it if I could.
what is the last ban for USC gonna be? It is gonna be Hecarim, so another jungler ban. That's 4 jungler bans. I'm very, actually extremely curious to see what kind of ban we see here. I would not be surprised to see USC actually first pick a jungler as well, something like Elise or Olaf, take it away from Cat Person. And it's going to be a Brand, so that's another mid lane pick. Kind of unusual. Brand is not a super common character. He's had some time in the sun, especially as a mage support when mage supports were a thing. But it has been some time since then. What are you going to first pick, Galdrick? Said I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of jungle ban or some kind of jungle pick here. Further lock Cat Person is something that maybe he would be unfamiliar with. He did quite well on Elise in the previous game, so we'll have to see if that trend, if he does that again. I'm quite curious. My mic is unmuted. Yeah, it's unmuted. Good. I was just double checking. Didn't want to have a repeat of the last game. Ooh. And it is going to be, wow, they're taking Nautilus away from Luke. And Luke has pretty much played Nautilus every single game we've seen him, because that's quite a strong pick there. I'm very curious to see what he's going to play now. See if he goes back to maybe an older hook type champion like a Thresh or a Blitzcrank. I'd be very curious to see. And it's going to be curious. It's going to be very interesting to see where USC takes that Nautilus, if they take it to top lane or if they use it as support of their own. But it is going to be, once again, Rafts on the Caitlyn, and Cat Person will be picking up Vi. Vi was a strong reason that USC was able to dominate so hard against the side of RCB, because their Vi camped out the mid lane and gave the LeBlanc, who I don't think is playing this match. I'm very curious. I guess they did a substitute. They let LeBlanc get super far ahead and just scaled out of control. So taking it away is quite a good idea, and it looks like they're going to take in a Sejuani as a possible replacement. They are hovering it, and we might see. Very curious to see if 2-1 does play that. It's going to be Elise instead, possibly. Of course, we're just speculating because they haven't locked it in yet. It is going to be indeed the Elise, and we'll be seeing Mackenzie making a return to the Ezreal. The strongest lane by far in that match was RCB's bottom lane. They were able to do quite well up until the point where they started getting camped and ganked especially by LeBlanc. And now we need a support, a mid laner, and a top laner. I'm still genuinely curious to see what Luke picks up, because like I said, I'm not 2 people. I'm 1 person. He's played Nautilus every single game, so it's going to be interesting to see what he goes for. Shurima making a return to the Yasuo. He did pretty decently in that last game, and we'll be seeing Holy making a return to Maokai. The Poppy was taken from him in the last game, but he did decently enough on the Maokai that it's definitely fine as the substitute character pick. And to be fair, Maokai's not known for being overly complicated or difficult. And it continued to trend. It is going to be Poppy being highlighted, so we'll continue to get Poppy versus Maokai top lanes. And then we will need a mid laner to round out the side of USC. And I'd be curious to see what is picked up. Assuming by Galdrick. Let me take a minute to look at the old match stats. Kind of curious because it was this one. And it was Focus. Focus has been switched out for, I'm assuming, Galdrick, who was not in the previous match. I think. Not sure. They have locked in Victor, though, pretty much the epitome of a standard mid-range mage, who is very good. He's not particularly unique in the aspect of mages, but is quite powerful. And now we need a support pick from Luke, and he's hovering Zyra. A bit of a far cry of Nautilus, because it's more of a ranged mage-style support rather than a kind of a hooky bruiser basically a support tank, and they are going to lock it in. And that is going to be looks like USC is going to be taking Nautilus to bot lane as a support. So we'll be seeing more support Nautilus as well. And it looks like we are all locked in. Pretty much we could still see some character swaps, but I do not think that is going to be the case. IQ201 is going to be switching from the jungle to the mid lane, and it's going to be Ares SC in the jungle instead. But Long Gong Silver, Mackenzie are going to be staying in their lanes. And of course we'll be seeing Galdrick in that bot lane as support Nautilus. And on that note, I don't think there's too much to talk about. We'll have to see if RZB can prevent the same disaster that was that previous game. And we'll be back, so don't go anywhere, folks. And we're into the game. Looks like we have a bit of a disconnect right at the start of the gate, though, and so we'll just take a moment to let them get back in. This is, for those of you just joining us, this is going to be our second bit of our round robin tournament, because our round robin went perfectly. Every team won one game, and so that means there were no winners decided. So we decided to prevent a third, to make sure there are no more ties. We've gone to a bracket system. And on that note, we are. Oh, let me turn that off. There we go. Both teams are in LCS order, and this is going to be USC on the blue side facing off against RZB on the red side. That is University of South Carolina versus Reverie Esports. I'm not sure where the B comes from. Very curious. Someone will have to tell me in the chat. And their first matchup, USC took control pretty quickly, and they never really let go of the reins, and they quickly pushed RZB to a loss. But RZB did manage to make a strong recovery against overhyped Esports, and we'll have to see if they can make a comeback here and go to the finals against overhyped. Hear lots of chatter, but nothing, unfortunately, that is indicating a reconnect. I will do my best to continue to fill in the silence so there's nothing too awkward here. We're currently waiting for... Didn't say who disconnected. I'm actually kind of curious. I'm wondering if they'll ever add maybe a little feature that shows who's disconnected for the spectators. As I believe it was IQS201, it seems, and he is just reconnected, so we should getting back into game very shortly. So far, the telling items for our starter, nothing too unusual. I'm actually curious to see if Shurima can have another good game on the Yasuo. His in the previous game was not too terrible, and is not quite as vulnerable as, say, a Kassadin, who, unfortunately, his Kassadin was camped out by IQS201 and Focus, who's not currently in this game. And there it is. We are now unpaused, and the characters, all the players are getting ready to come right out of the gate. I'm very curious to see what they do here. It's worth noting that, as I mentioned in Champions League, Galdrick has stolen Nautilus away from Luke. Oh, that's clever. I like it. Rosenar Black, so Black Rose. Clever, I like it. And both teams doing a standard line of scrimmage, nothing too unusual. No fancy plays here. RCB is going to want to make a strong recovery. They don't want to repeat of the first game. That first game was unfortunately very disastrous. But Victor is not known for snowballing quite as hard as a LeBlanc, and this matchup isn't quite as bad as and we'll have to see what is done. And of course, Cat Person is now playing a much stronger ganking jungler, so we'll have to see if he is able to keep up with Ares or even surpass. I think I pronounced that correctly. Ares? Double A. Double A is weird too. I'm gonna go with pretend there's only one A and call him Ares. And both junglers gonna be starting on the bottom side of the map. And they're off. It is once again also a return of the Poppy versus Maokai matchup, so that is going to be lots of directed camera going that way. I use 201, trying to do maybe a little harass to Shurima, but Shurima is gladly returning the favor and getting a good chunk of damage. So it is Ares, excellent. Can never be too sure with names. I hate butchering names if I can help it. So names like Holy and Long Dong Silver are very easy, thankfully. Luke taking a bit of poke from Mackenzie. But now Galdrick's positioning in a way that he can get some good damage onto Raft. Raft and Luke getting the favor return from their previous Nautilus play. Directed camera going to place it. Like in this top lane again, though. Long Dong Silver getting Twisting Nether done, do. Twisting Nether, no. Twisted Advance. Twisting Nether because I just played a game of Hearthstone before I got here. I'm just kidding. But we see Mackenzie and Galdrick doing a very good job zoning out Ross and Luke with that Nautilus pressure. They've actually managed to push this lineup, which is rather unusual given that it is Caitlyn versus Ezreal. very curious to see if Galdrick's level of Nautilus play is as good as Luke's was, because Luke was having such a strong game. IQ's 2-1 very low, getting super hard harassed by Shurima. And 2-1 has opted to not take exhaust this game, so whereas Shurima does. So over this, Raf's getting some good poke onto Mackenzie with that, I've forgotten the name of the Q now for Caitlyn. Tilt over Peacemaker. There it is. And Holy once again going for that Jordan start on the Maokai, so he has good damage, but he's not going to have as much sustain as long as Long Silver has those Cryptic Pots, which he's just ran out of charges. And I just realized that I have not adjusted this properly. There we go. Now I can compare CS and score more appropriately. Yeah, Mackenzie still, once again, this is a bit of a repeat. He's doing a very good job keeping up in CS. Rafs and Luke took control of the bottom lane in the first match, but they were never able to get ahead in CS, despite pushing the wave into the turret. And Mackenzie is on the lower end of health. Ooh, good hook by Galdrick. But it's just some harass. No follow-up from Mackenzie, because it was a max range hook. But here comes Ares off to the side. And the snare from Luke, not quite good enough. Raf's getting cocooned. Mackenzie taking a good bit of damage from Luke, though. Holy not quite struggling against Long Silver as he did in the previous game. Doing very decent. And that shield from Poppy not quite landing in the optimal spot, so he's unable to get the shield health from it. Galdrick doing a good job to zone out Rafts, though the net does allow a headshot onto him. He is fairly durable though, and he still has 3 biscuits, so he is not too worried about taking tons of damage, I think. He's going to be able to send it back up very quickly. Very good hammer shock there to do some good damage to Holy. We haven't seen too much jungle pressure here. We did see a gank from Ares onto the bottom lane, but unfortunately, Ross was able to get out without popping a single summoner. The dash not quite pushing Holy into the wall for free damage, though he is able to get some free auto attacks into there. And we see Cat Person is attempting to sneak this dragon. Here comes Luke to assist. It looks like that is going to be a free dragon going over to RZB. There it is. That'll give them an Ocean Drake, the Health Regen, which will be very useful for any kind of, basically everything. Oh, Rafts might be in trouble. He does get snared up, but here comes a teleport from Holy. Now Mackenzie, the tables have turned. Here comes Cat Person as well. Another teleport coming in. It has actually been canceled though. And now Galdrick is going to go down. That is going to give RZB the first 2 kills of the game. Here's the exhaust from Shurima. IQ2 and dropping his ultimate. But it's going to be able to, despite the exhaust, he's going to be able to pick up Shurima, giving them another. That'll give USC their first kill of the game. Still, though, that is going to be RZB pulling ahead due to the double kill into the bottom lane, and they might just get first brick here. It is fairly early in the game, but we've not seen Rafts have a chance to back yet, so they're just whittling away at the turret. It's going to be close. And there goes the plant. They're down to just a few minions. They might stick around. Here comes another wave to back them up. And Cat Person is in the bush, so they can do a nice follow-up here. And there's the ultimate. Mackenzie using Arcade Shift to get over the wall. There's a flash as well. That is flash being burned. Still, though, good pressure onto Mackenzie. They almost picked him up. If Ras had maybe had his ultimate, maybe they would have been able to pick that up. But RZB in a much, much, much better spot compared to the previous game. First item is going to be a BF sword for Rafts. Nothing too unusual, especially given the strong start. Now, Shurima might be getting triple ganked here. There is a ward though, they do get spotted out, and they don't walk in the bush, so they do not see it. Oh, there goes Galdrick. He does not see it? No, they're gonna get it. They pinged it. They know it's there. Still though, that was they've already gotten that first dragon RTB, so they'll be able to reward it by the time that next dragon comes along. And things are now slowing up. Longlong Silver trying to see if he can maybe pin Holy to a wall, but Holy a little bit too far away. Until that happens. So lots of harass in that top side. Holy once again going for the Corrupting Potion and Doran's Ring start. Double Doran's Ring, I should say. So that gives him lots of early damage. And sustain. And Longlong Silver going for that first item, Bammy Cinder, but most likely going to transition into some magic resistance, such as a Spirit Visage. 201. Maybe thinking about roaming the top side. He's taking the long way through the jungle. Here comes Ares SC as well. Cat Person is nearby, so he could potentially help. Yep. So 201 is spotted out by a ward. And seeing that he is spotted out, has opted to not go for a gank, which probably would have ended in disaster going by a Cat Person's position. And that Longlong Silver has been dropped pretty low in health. He's down to about 25%. 20% now. Ares CC getting a good cocoon onto Shurima. The spider doesn't land. And Holy with the saplings able to delay Longlong Silver's back and push into the turret. Luke trying to do some harassment to Mackenzie and Galdrick. They're still pretty behind because Mackenzie is able to get the golem though. I think. Or did Luke get it? I think Luke got it. This is definitely one of the slower games, but RZB trying to keep the pressure up, especially on that bottom side. Cat Person taking out a ward. There's actually one of the control wards in that bush right above Cat Person, so we do see lots of proactive warding by USC to try and keep pressure up. But how long that ward remains active probably won't be too long. Luke might be in trouble here. He gets spotted out. There's the cocoon. Luke is getting bursted down by 201 and Ares. Galdrick getting a good hook onto Ross, but was pushed back by Cat Person. Cat Person and Shurima able to pick up Ares SC. Now Raph's not quite dying to 201. Ooh, Cat Person trying to get a Q into there, but just not quite enough range. And the super exciting ventures of top lane of Holy and Longlong Silver pecking away at their health. We do see that Longlong has picked up some magic resist in the form of Merc Treads, which will be pretty useful in keeping that Twisted Advance snare down. And reduces some of the damage coming out of Holy. Longlong Silver not quite picking up that shield fast enough before the Arcane Smash hit him. Yep, and here both tanks go. You see that Longlong Silver using the charge to push him towards his turret. But Holy coming out ahead there. The double Doran's Ring is giving him a nice early stat boost, which is very helpful, I imagine. Next dragon is live. We do see that USC has awarded it, so they're trying to keep an eye on it. They don't want to give up another dragon for free, because Cat Person did a very good job sneaking it away very early. Oh, Holy is able to deny that shield to Longlong Silver. He was able to get another Arcane Smash and Twisted Advance onto him, keeping nice strong pressure onto him. Luke is going to take out that control ward. And we see that both teams are kind of positioned pretty near to the dragon, though looks like Mackenzie just backed. And it looks like Galdrick is going to back as well. And it's going to allow... Nope, Galdrick is going to stick around. They know this dragon is happening, but Director Camera really likes this top side. You see that, but Holy's doing a very good job keeping Longlong Silver low. So if Longlong Silver wants to teleport to this dragon, he needs to back first. That's exactly what he's doing. There's the Zyra ultimate, but 201 bursting down Cat Person, but 201 might be going down to Shurima. Now there's Holy coming up to the side, able to pick him up. Now Galdrick trying to, sorry, Raph's being taken out by Ares. Is actually over the wall. Shrima now in position to, he's actually forced to run away by Long Silver's flash. Holy is going to get picked up by Long Silver and Mackenzie. Now Shrima is being possibly dove. No, Long Silver wisely backing off. And that is going to be USC picking up that team fight pretty easily. It looks like they're not going to get Dragon, though they are going to get this first turret. Love to see if they position to try and take Dragon here. I see Cat Person is returning. Cat Person actually went for Warrior, so he's actually very squishy. They do, RTB knows this Dragon is happening, but here comes Cat Person and Luke from the side. The ward right there above that little pathway did allow RTB to be spotted out, but since USC is being forced to back off, RTB is gonna get the second Dragon. Ooh, 2-1 trying to get a nice steal with the laser, but unfortunately, Cat Person, even despite Cat Person missing the smite, our Shrima was able to pick it up. So, I'd actually say RTB came out ahead there. They may have lost that team fight in a turret, but they did pick up a second Dragon, being an Earth Drake has have a lot of value. Mackenzie versus RTB. Mackenzie does have a finished Mana Moon. It's going to let him he's going to start stacking that pretty quickly. Galdrick getting spotted up by something. Not sure what, but Raph did back off. Cat Person going to pick up another ward for himself. We'll probably see him start to tank out because he exploded in that fight so quickly. 2-1 was able to just dump on him with his all of his abilities, and nothing Cat Person can do about it. Very curious to see what he builds, actually. We'll have to see. Yeah, Raphs and Mackenzie trading some attacks there. Mackenzie getting a nice, strong bit of poke with the Arcane Shift and the Q there. I still have no idea why Director Camera likes this lane so much. They're fighting, but they're doing no damage. We do see Ares SC is looking for an opportunity. Mackenzie does get snared up, but unfortunately not long enough underneath Zyra's ultimate. There's the depth charge, and Raph's, ooh, Mackenzie getting a little too close, and does get picked up by an auto attack by Raphs, but Raphs did it. Because he decided to get close enough for an auto attack, Galdrick is picked up by Galdrick. All Ares SC and Holy are going at it. Unfortunately, Ares forced to flash away from Holy. Now Cat Person is being chased down by 201. That laser does pick up Cat Person while he's in the bush, so line of sight not quite saving him. And USC picking up 3 kills there. Three kills to RZB's 1 kill, and it looks like they might just get another turret. There's only 1 minion though. They do have a mini wave coming out. I do believe they are going to stick around for this turret. There's no reason not to. C201 is going to sit off to the side and take care of this control ward. And that is going to be the second turret of the game going to USC. Mackenzie's actually doing a very good job, despite the Caitlyn lane. He's doing a... Sorry, I was reading the chat for a second. He's doing a good job keeping up NC. It's actually ahead. So, despite the fact that Raphs initially did very well at keeping them suppressed, and has an item lead, not really even an item lead, seeing that Raphs has the finished Ruinous Hurricane, and Mackenzie has the finished Mana Moon, but he also has Sheen, so that is going to give him nice, strong boosted damage. I'm not sure what that little golem is doing. Very curious. Luke has opted to go... I suppose this makes sense, he is playing Zyra. Has a Hunting Guys, so a nice bit of magic penetration is going to allow him to do more damage, basically. Nothing too fancy or complicated about that. Both top laners have finished their Sunfire Capes, and it looks like Long Silver is going to go for a Frozen Glacial Shroud. I almost said Frozen Heart, but well, technically it could build on Frozen Heart. It also could go into Iceborne Gauntlet. Long on Silver is going to get the shield in time. Holy tried to prevent it by snaring him with the Twisted Advance. This game could still go either way. RCB's done a good job controlling global objectives, but they are behind in kills and in CS in the bottom lane by about a pretty good chunk, about 20. So, but I imagine RCB is feeling a lot better, because that first game was very fortunate. Hammershock's not doing too much to Holy anymore since he has completed that Sunfire. We do see Ares SC is coming up from the river. Holy using that Twisted Advance does not know he's here. Well, now he does. Holy does dodge the cocoon, but he's taking way too much damage already. There's no one nearby to help him. He's not going to be able to get away unless he tries to flash, but he does not quite get the flash, unfortunately. While that was happening, IQ's 201 is picked up by Shurima and, I believe, Catperson. They almost picked up Galdrick as well, but Galdrick was able to get away with a flash and an exhaust. And we have another dragon and Baron popping in 56 seconds. They're like soulmates right now, spawning at the same time. Which does mean that unless they take it right now, their Rift Herald is going to die. Yep, USC is going for it. Looks like they're going to get it. Not sure, quite sure what time it respawns. I know it's not exactly at the 20-minute mark. They despawns like 10 seconds beforehand. But they are going to get it. Looks like Ares SC is actually going to take it rather than Long on Silver. We really haven't had too much to look at this mid lane. We see that 201 is doing quite well for himself. He's 6-2-1. Working on some kind of big AP item, since it is a needs large draw that can build into multiple items, but it could just be a death cap right away. A little unusual, so we don't see death cap first item too often. I guess technically not first item because Victor did upgrade his actual item. I don't remember what it's called. Something. I'm not gonna remember because I've only played Victor a little bit. But this is a third dragon by RCB. Looks like they're gonna get it. They are. It's a nice strong play for them. They are gonna be able to get away from this team fight because Holy does not have teleport. Looks like he just recently used it as well. So unfortunately, he is gonna be forced to take the long way around. They do know where he's at. He just walked a reward. And looks like USC is going to be able to take this second mid lane turret. Unfortunately, the directed camera does not want to put us in a position where we can see the turret's health, which is very unfortunate. But despite that, the turret does still go down. So while USC is going to be behind in the long run due to Triple Dragon, especially Double Earth Drake, which is going to let RTB take objectives extremely fast. Oh, RTB's going for a Baron play. This is super aggressive. There are over awards. They don't know this. They do know now. Catperson's going to get wall stunned by Long Arm Silver. It is going to go down. Baron is shredding Holy's magic. Shurima getting a nice 3-man ultimate. Luke and Ares are going at it, but Ares is actually coming on. Luke's forced to flash over the wall. Rafts is taken out by Mackenzie, though it is extremely close. And despite the Baron shredding the health and RTB being forced off the Baron, RTB comes out ahead, 2-3. That was a bit of chaos there. Catperson just gets shredded by damage. He does not have any defensive right now. He's Warrior going into Trinity Force. Trinity Force doesn't make sense as an item, but I'm getting the feeling maybe he might wish he had picked up Cinderhulk instead, because he could definitely use some kind of defenses. Shurima did a very good job getting his tornado in there and using that last breath? I believe was able to lock up some people and pick up 201 very easily there. He is a big threat himself. He has that Infinity Edge. He has that Phantom Dancer. And here comes 201 to save that top turret. Can't quite see its health here. It's had some damage, but unfortunately, can't. Are we gonna see a Baron play by USC? They're taking out the vision. Nah, they're just getting vision control. They're not quite as aggressive as RGB here. That was a really ballsy play by RGB. Thankfully for them, it did not backfire. Cat person getting a little bit of harass from Ares. Does not land the Q, but he's using the ultimate. Ares is going to get picked. Here comes the teleport from Long Dong Silver. And unfortunately, Luke going down to 201 now. Holy might be in trouble. But, ooh, Shurima getting knocked up by that Keeper's Verdict. They tried to dash over the wall, but unfortunately did not land it. There's the knock-up onto Guldrick. Guldrick, ooh, there's the dash over the wall. 2-1 might be in trouble. Does get picked up. Now Holy and Long Dong Silver. Long Dong Silver is going to be able to pick up Holy here. There's the auto attack. Now Shurima versus Mackenzie. Mackenzie has that Iceborne Gauntlet, so he's going to be able to kite this out. Now there's the wind wall. Between that Iceborne Gauntlet, I think Mackenzie is going to be fine. He does pick up Shurima. So this time, USC wins this team fight. It was very crazy. Cat person getting one step closer to finishing that Trinity Force, which I'm sure he'll be great for, so he can start working on some kind of tank item. He was able to pick up Ares SC with that ultimate, but he still exploded very quickly. No. Vault Breaker not quite going to be able to get in range of Mackenzie. Mackenzie very, very quick on the trigger to use this Arcane Shift to get out of the way. I believe this is the USC League of Legends team from the college, yes, but I don't know for sure. They'd have to confirm that. Unlike most teams who get this far, they don't have a Twitter. Ooh, Rafts gets cocooned from the side. Longman Silver is going to be able to pick that kill up, and that is going to be Rafts going down. USC picking up another kill to extend their lead. And they're taking the turrets. That is going to be their 4th turret of the game compared to... Oh, while this is happening, the rest of RTB is taking Baron. There it is. They are now quickly backing. They're going to rush to that tier 2 turret to try and save it. But all 5 members of USC are here. Ari is curiously using his repel. They're quickly taking down that turret. But that is going to be put USC at a 5 turrets, which makes them they're 4 turrets ahead of RTB. They're doing some jungle stealing. I'm not sure. USC has the gold lead, but it's not a big enough gold lead for me to say, oh yeah, they definitely are going to win this. They're setting up an ambush by Blue Buff. Can't see Blue Buff timer, unfortunately, so we don't know if it's going to spawn. Dragon is going to be up in 30 seconds. We'll have to see if USC can pick up their first dragon of the game. But RCB has Baron. We'll have to see if they can make use of it. Only Rafts doesn't have the Baron buff. Oh, USC are going for a sneaky play. They're going to push straight up that bottom lane. We didn't see RGB did not push it too hard, and now they're going to work on. There's the wind wall. It's going to prevent any long range damage. The Long Arm Silver getting locked up by Twisted Advance. There's the wind wall that's goes down. There's the Vi ultimate onto, I believe it was 201, but this team fight is messy. But USC getting shredded and exploded. There's a full ace by RGB. When you see the teleport from Holy going straight to that mid lane so they can push down that turret. Woo! That is going to put RGB in the lead by about 2k gold, and it's going to extend because they're going to be able to get some turrets here. That Baron's about halfway done, so they should be able to get at least 2 turrets, maybe even the inhibitor turret. And because it happened, Cat Person was able to soul the dragon, giving RGB their 4th Drake of the game. And it looks like they're going for this next turret. The respawn timers are just ending for the rest of USC, and that is going to be a free turret. 3 free turrets, basically, for RGB. That was a really ballsy play by USC, but unfortunately, that's just a good, solid team fight by RGB, which allowed them to easily win that fight. And being at 4 dragons is going to give them a lot of stats. Between Baron and 2 Earth Drakes, they quickly pushed through those turrets so easily. That is just crazy. But it's not over till it's over. They're only the side of USC is only behind 5K Gold at 27 minutes. Cat Person using his ultimate basically went through the entire team, basically knocking all of them out. And the Shrima's last breath was just locked them up for so long. And the 2-1 has the Riley, so he has some health, but I'm curious to see if he does build Zanyas, because that would make sense. Oh boy. Longman Silver is pretty tanky now. He's got the Iceborne Gauntlet. He's working on, I imagine, Deadman's Plate. There is Raph's ultimate. It's gonna hit. I don't know who it hit because all the health. Rima getting caught out. Gets caught by the Cocoon and Galdrick, and is quickly just gonna be melted and exploded. Galdrick getting knocked up by Zyrio's ultimate though is gonna go down. Here comes Cat Person over the wall. Does hit 201. 201 is gonna almost explode, but not quite. It is able to last a little longer, but Holy is gonna pick him up. But RZB loses that team fight, it looks like. They managed to lose it by one person. Shrima getting caught out there was just crucial for them winning that. He is doing a lot of damage. He's pretty durable with that Frozen Mallet. But whew, if 201 hadn't gone down to Holy there at the very end, they definitely would have definitely would be in a much better spot. But it looks like because Mackenzie is alive, they're going to be able to push this middle wave up, but not enough to get that inhibitor turret. Next time we'll probably see Shrima avoiding going into the jungle because he melted so fast. He barely got wind wall up before he died. Curiously, 201 is not going for Zanyas. He has Death Cap, which is going to, of course, increase his damage, but means he's still vulnerable to Cat Person's ultimate. Oh, so the camera on accident. It's okay, direct camera will be back up in just a second. There it goes. This game is still close. I'd say RGB is winning because they have 4 dragons and a 3K gold lead, but it's still not a huge enough lead. We've seen that our USC can still win team fights, if not by a huge margin. 201 and Mackenzie are still big damage threats. Mackenzie having just finished his Blazing King and working on some kind of Last Whisper item. But Shurima gonna get ganked by 3 members getting chain CC'd. Here comes Cat Person over the wall. Shurima getting the last breath off, but unfortunately not gonna be enough. Cat Person is getting melted, unfortunately too, not able to pick up 201. Holy trying to get to the back line as well. Is tanking. There goes the Keeper's Verdict to knock Luke away. Raps is off to the side, trying to get some damage. It does pick up 201. Ares is forced to flash away from the snare from Luke. And another 2-for-3 trade from, Raph's trying to use the ultimate onto Galdrick, but Galdrick tanks it up pretty easily. Raph's at that point where he's doing a lot of damage. He has 3 items. He has the finished, I don't remember the name of that particular armor finisher. I know it builds on the Last Whisper. But he has the Renegade and the Infinity Edge, so he's doing a lot of damage. Ares and Mackenzie and Galdrick are all extremely low. They need to be careful. Unfortunately, while this is happening, they're not able to pick up that turret. Baron is going to spawn in just a couple of seconds. USC not in position to take this Baron. They're actually forced to back. And knowing RZB, there's a good chance they will rush it. Indeed, looks like they're heading that way, judging by their map movements. But while this is happening, all the rest members of USC are heading that way as well. Ares is going to pick up the Scarab, so they have vision of the pit. That person using the Vault Breaker to the ward quickly and make it die. We do see that Long Silver is on the bottom side of the map. He does have teleport though, so it's not end the world kind of deal. RZB getting the ultimate onto Mackenzie. Mackenzie trying to flash away, but he can't flash away from his ultimate once it goes down. Mackenzie is dropped extremely low. There's the wind wall. Long Silver getting focused. But he is so tanky. There's the last breath. does knock up Long Lens, so Long Lens is gone down. There goes Mackenzie being picked up by Shurima. And 201 gets picked up by Shurima as well. Ras pops the passive on Ares. There goes Ares. This might just be game. That is a clean ace with only Luke going down from RCB. They don't have Baron, but it's a 4-item Caitlyn and a 3-item, 3.5 item Yasuo. They are going to melt these turrets. And there it goes. That is going to be game. This particular game going to RCB. Congratulations. Must feel really good after being kind of pooped on by USC in that first game. So that is going to be, the final is going to be RZB versus Overhyped Esports. And with that, we're going to take a small music break. As soon as we're into Champion Selection, we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere, guys.
Dreams among the stars while I'm sitting on the pavement, spinning around, lost and found, just trying to make a statement. Lift the weight off my shoulders, let the birds in the sky is where I'd like to be. Without gravity to hold us down, together we'll side of the ground.
much higher, fly. So much higher, fly. So much higher, fly. So much higher, sky. Lines and clouds are below us now. Sky dive back down. Oh,
And here we are. If you guys can hear my heater in the background, I'll turn it off, but it is a little chilly in here, and so I decided to turn it on. So, starting off, this is going to be our last match of the evening. RCB managing to take a nice, strong victory against USC in a kind of a flip around because USC just dominated them in the first game that we watched of them. But RGB making a nice, strong recovery, allowing them to make an effort at taking the finals. They defeated Overhyped Esports in the first time they faced off against each other. So it'll be interesting to see if Overhyped can once again reverse the standing here and take the victory for themselves. Starting off here, we do have lots of bans coming pretty quickly out of the gate here. We have Kindred, Rek'Sai, Yasuo, Zac, and Syndra. Syndra and Yasuo being targeted at Shreema, who played Yasuo 2 games in a row and did quite well for himself. And the Zac ban most likely targeted at Nicholas. And Cat Person also being probably another targeted ban for the Kindra. And we're actually curious to see what this last ban is going to be here. It is going to be a LeBlanc. LeBlanc was one of the first problems Shreema had. They got demolished by USC's LeBlanc and Vi play. Vi is still open, so we'll have to see if Nicholas takes it for himself. He took Olaf in the last time we saw them, so I'm curious to see if they go for that trend again. And now we see Impaled hovering the Caitlyn, and they lock it in. And that is going to take Caitlyn away from Rafts, who has played it multiple games in a row. So, from what little I know of Rafts, we'll likely see a Ezreal pickup, but we'll just have to wait and see, because I've only seen him 6 or 7 games? It's either been Ezreal or Caitlyn most of the time. And what is going to be picked up here? I would not be surprised to see Vi and maybe Poppy or Maokai locked in. Probably Nautilus, actually, because Luke plays a lot of Nautilus. So we'll probably see Vi Nautilus. Maybe Poppy Nautilus. RZB tends to like really, really tanky front lines, though was kind of subverted last game by Cat Person going more of a damage Vi in the early game. Let me reposition here. And it is going to be a Vi, most likely. Cat Person had a great bit of success on Vi in the early game, though once the, Luke is going to go back to the Zyra. He had a decent game on Zyra as well. So I'm curious, definitely rather unusual. It's kind of maybe flabbergasted that Nautilus is open, he's not taking it. How dare you betray my expectations, Luke? How dare you? But that is going to give... He did decently on Zyra in the last game, so there shouldn't be too many issues there. We'll have to see what Overhype does for their support. Because maybe they were expecting... I'm giving you a little bit of crap. No, you did great. I promise. That's cheating on Zyra, though. You're a support. You're not supposed to deal damage. But, no, he did great. A different style of support for sure. So, but OVH is going to quickly lock in Karma support, it looks like. Though, Karma is a pretty flexible pick. It can go mid, top, technically jungle, though it's been like almost years since we've seen that, so not likely. Most likely support tends to be where he does best, and it's most likely a Hecarim support, especially how Nicholas is taking Ghost. And there is the Ezreal hover, like I kind of suspected, from Rafts. And what is going to be... It is going to be Holy making a return to Maokai, most likely, though. He hasn't locked in yet, so maybe we'll see a Poppy. It is indeed Maokai! Maokai is just so strong right now. Very consistent, very easy. Even if you get behind, you're still Maokai, so you don't really care. Oh, I'm behind. Who gives? I almost said a bad word. I have an allotment of how many bad words I can say. And CCLG chick covering on a couple of rather unusual picks that we don't see too frequently, except for Ryze. There are RCB is holding off on their mid lane as their last pick. That is going to allow them to make sure that they get a strong pick against whatever's picked up here. I almost said CLG. That's not correct though. By Overhyped Esports. I have 25 seconds. I'm not going to even comment on any of these things that Overhyped is hovering because I don't believe that we're going to see a Riven. We might see Riven. I personally kind of hate Riven as a character because he's strong against characters I like, so I'm biased. Maybe he's not as strong anymore because it's been months since I bothered. But nope, it looks like possibly Gangplank. It is going to be Gangplank top lane and Cassiopeia in the mid lane. So what is RGB going to pick up here? Shurima has played other things before. Judging the fact that his name is Shurima, I'm assuming he does play Azir, but to be fair, Azir has basically been beaten by Riot with multiple bats, all with the word nerf written on them. I think it was, like 5 or 6 patches in a row he was repeatedly nerfed. It was crazy. I was really surprised by how much pressure that... He was kind of dominating the meta for a little bit, though, to be fair. He was just putting out so much DPS. Zed is locked in. Wow. So, that is going to be different because we haven't seen a Zed in a while. He got a very minor change in the Assassin patch that was just put out, a couple weeks ago? I'm trying to remember what the changes were. They weren't huge. Like, they changed how his W worked. It no longer gives him a percentage AD boost. It was... What was it? They changed it to that he gets a bonus percentage boost to his AD based on the AD from the most target he's killed or something like that. It's crazy, kind of weirdly worded, but I understand what it does. But that is going to be our matchups here. We got Impaled on the Gangplank facing off against Holy's Maokai. We got Nicholas on Hecarim, which I much prefer to Olaf. Olaf is a good character, but I don't like his early jungle. It feels kind of weak if he can't get reactionary ganks or people out of position. Cat Person on the Vi, another character I like over Olaf. He did a much stronger game. And we have Mark Boots on the... He's not playing Orianna this time, he's playing Cassiopeia this time. So a little more DPS, but less versatile utility on the ultimate, because obviously they need to be facing Cassiopeia for the ultimate to actually stun. And then we have Shurima playing Zed, which is just... It's weird, I don't know, it's not what I expected from him, but... Zed, I guess, if you know how to play him, can be a very powerful character. He's very slippery. You have to see if he can play it as well as he played the Yasuo. And, of course, last but most certainly not least, we have our bottom line. Is CLG Chick playing the Caitlyn, stealing it away from Rafts. Jiggity Jam, which is a name I still love, on the Karma, facing off against Rafts and Luke on Ezreal and Zyra, respectively. And with that, we are entering our... We've already entered our delay. We're about a minute in. We're going to enter a small commercial break, and we'll be back as soon as we're in the game. So don't go anywhere, folks.
In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. Into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for
And here we are onto the Rift. Just give me a moment to fix my scoreboard because Riot will never. They need to add a default functionality to that, so I don't have to do that every single time. And it looks like everybody is in the correct LCS order, so I don't need to change anything, which is awesome. And this is going to be the very last match of the evening. RGB won the last match that we just played. They did quite well. It wasn't a stomp or anything, but they took control and maintained it pretty convincingly. And they also did pretty well against Overhyped. So we'll have to see if they can repeat that or if Overhyped can come back and take... it's kind of weird because of how we've done this tournament. We did a round robin, and when every team won once, we had to go to a bracket system. So I'm not sure if it's called a comeback, but we'll have to see if Overhyped can make sure they avoid a repeat of their first game. And both teams, once again, doing the standard line of scrimmage. Nothing too unusual. And we're seeing a bit of an invade from Nicholas and Impale. They're going to get a ward again. They're doing a repeat of what they did in the previous game. And now we see that Jiggity Jam and Steel are doing the same thing. They're getting good vision to make sure they know for sure where the enemy jungler is starting. Yeah, both junglers are going to be starting at their blue buff this time. Seeing Holy getting a ward to make sure that red buff isn't invaded and stolen. That person is going to get a blue buff pretty quickly thanks to that leash. Very... I'm actually really curious with this mid lane as well. But, it's been a long time since I've seen the Zed. And Zed actually got a decent choke. A little bit of poke there from the Q. Doing it again. Mark Boots getting dropped to about 60% health. And this mid lane match, this top lane matchup is finally one that is different. It is not Maokai versus Poppy. It is Gangplank versus Poppy. Both mid laners have hit reach level 2. Mark Boots is doing his best to make sure he lands some poke and to harass onto Shrima. Shrima is melee, so he is actually being bullied back from the CS a little bit. Let's see if he can make the CS difference back at this turret. Jiggity Jam getting some poke onto Rafts with a Q. Both pretty much the only lane that's outright losing right now is mid lane. Mark Boots is doing a fantastic job suppressing Shreemer right now. He's got a 10 CS lead now. But here comes Cat Person over the wall. Unfortunately, Director Camera really likes this bottom side. But overall, Raps is doing a pretty good job keeping up in CS. Their lane is being pushed in a little bit. So maybe he missed a few CS under the turret. Shrima is able to proc that Thunderlord onto Mark Boots. Oh, Mark Boots is trying to kite it out, but there's the Ignite. There's the exhaust from Mark Boots, though. Oh, Shrima using the the flash to get over the wall, but here comes Nicholas. That is going to be first blood going to Nicholas, most likely. And there it is. Shreema getting a little greedy, honestly. He was a little too hesitant on going over that wall. He went back, and then he flashed over. I guess maybe he thought Mark Boots was going to come back, but he didn't have vision. So, first blood going to Overhyped. I'm sure Nicholas really appreciates that. Ooh, Raph taking a nice chunk of damage. Getting hit by the Piltover Peacemaker as well, and eating a trap. There's the headshot. Ooh, Raphs is in huge trouble. He's forced to pop the heal and the flash to get away. Now Luke is going to take some free out attacks from Jiggity Jam. Raphs popping a potion, though, is going to be able to regen some of that health. We do see that Cat Person is in position for a Q. Jiggity Jam is in huge trouble. There's the heal from Steel Jig though, and here comes Nicholas out of nowhere to say hi to Raphs. Now he really wants Luke. Luke is forced to flash, and now Cat Person's going to take some free damage as well, but is not going to die. It's a good solid counter gank by Nicholas coming basically out of nowhere to pick up Raphs, because Raphs used his flash and his heal in the previous fight. It's a valiant effort by RZB to get a kill there, but Nicholas is kind of exactly where he needs to be. Now where's this game going to go? We see the streamer is working towards what appears to be Hex Drinker, which makes a lot of sense. We see Shreema is getting pushed into the turret. Steel G Chick and Jiggity Jam are also going to push the wave into the turret, make it a little more difficult for Raphs to comfortably CS. And despite the 2 early kills, it still feels like a slow game. There's not tons and tons of fighting going on except for the skirmishes that basically end up in kills or summoners. Raphs and Luke trying to push this wave up. Raphs is behind in CS, not totally unexpected, but he is catching up. And we'll probably see another early dragon by Cat Person. It's not as early as the last dragon, but this is still very early, very sneaky. There are no pings here. They do not know this is happening. So very well played once again by RZB. This is going to give them firm control. Shreema getting ganked by Nicholas. He does not have flash, and he is going to get died to the poison. There's another kill for Mark Boots. Shreema just is very unlucky. He got camped in the first game we saw tonight, and he's getting camped again. To be fair, that first camp was more of a reactionary gank by Nicholas from his little bit of over-aggression. But Nicholas is definitely having a nice, strong opening start here. He's 2-0-1, and is going to basically let Mark Boots pick up a kill and an assist himself. How's the top lane going? Oh, Director Camera is having a bit of a seizure and just jumping all over the map here. I'm sure Shreema is going to be grateful. The Hex Drinker is now finished. And Raphs has the tier compared to Steel Chick's BF Sword, so I'd say it was already a Caitlyn versus Ezreal matchup, but Steel Chick definitely has control of the bottom lane currently. Though the lead is not unbearably huge, just big. Impale these in order just to break the snare from Twisted Advance. Both junglers are going to be picking up their blue buff now. Neither jungler has level 6. As I say that, Cat Person does pick up level 6 with that blue buff take. He's in position to possibly gank somewhere. He is going to walk near some wards though, possibly. Nope, Mark Boots is going to be donated blue buff himself. And Nicholas not quite getting level 6 off that. It's just curious that Cat Person level 6, but Nicholas doesn't. He's probably going to get it very soon though. Holy taking some damage. Holy's build is not, he's going for the same build he's always gone for here, is the double Doran's Ring into a Corrupting Potion. So he doesn't have any armor yet. Nope. Their Cat Person and Shreema just diving onto Mark Boots. There's the Gangplank ultimate, though Shreema wisely backing out with a Shadow. But unfortunately, because Nicholas was there to counter gank again, Mark Boots survived. Wow, that's got a very, very unfortunate for RGB. This puts him in a really, really bad spot. That's a 2-0-2 hit Hecarim and a 2-0-1 Cassiopeia. And Cassiopeia is wisely rushing the Zanyas, it appears. That is going to allow him to dodge Shrima's ultimates. It looks like Mark Boots and Nicholas are going to try and take down this turret. They're slowly whittling it down. This minions are going to die before it is dropped below to 0, though, so it is going to survive this one wave. Raph's taking a lot of damage there. Is maybe to back. He's not backing though. Nope, there's the Caitlyn ultimate, but it is going to be blocked by Luke. Impaled, forced to use oranges to get away from the twisted advance. It is running out of mana though. No. Impaled has the CS advantage in the top lane, but it's a Maokai lane, so he's not too concerned about the CS advantage. Though because he has double Doran's Ring and a corrupting potion, I'm a little concerned. The ultimate, something Maelstrom, I've forgotten Maokai's ultimate now, was popped and actually dropped Impaled quite low, even despite the oranges, and it forced Impaled to flash. He actually may have not needed to flash, but he decided he was going to just in case. He didn't want to die. Which is probably fine. We're going to have to see if Overhyped can continue this trend. This is once again another kind of reverse game. Rosenarver had the advantage initially, but Overhyped is doing quite well. Thanks in part to Nicholas's counter ganks, he's managed to secure several kills. And things have once again slowed down as everybody is returning to lanes. Curiously, Luke is actually going to that top lane. Looks like they might want to pick up a kill onto Impaled here. There's enough CC there to lock down Impaled despite all of that. And there it is. There's the Zyra ultimate. It is going to zone Impaled away from his turret, and they're easily going to pick him up because he has no flash. Sealed Chick and Jiggity Jam are going to notice this, and they're quickly going to be able to take this turret, and there's nothing Raps can do about it. And while this is happening, all three of the people top for Rafts, he's going to be able to use the Arcane Shift to escape from Nicholas. Nicholas doesn't quite have Trinity Force finish yet. He has the Swiftness Boots and a Phage, but no Sheen yet. Now, both teams do get the turret, but first break is going to go to, looks like USC. They're about 3,000 gold ahead now. And Dragon is going to be up in 30 seconds. We'll have to see if RGB can continue the trend of really controlling those dragons. Now Shurima walking through that poison. It's not going to do too much damage. There's the ultimate from Shurima. He's getting exhausted, gets stunned up by Mark Boots. He quickly just evaporates. And the rest of the USC is going to roam down from the bottom lane. Now Catperson trying to use the Vault Breaker to get over the wall, but Nicholas is able to block it. Holy getting exhausted by Jiggity Jam, and he just might go down to the CC, and it's another kill for Mark Boots. Things are looking really, really grim for RZB. There's going to be another turret going down, and it looks like a third turret is not going to be in any way tested here. Not a lot Rafts and Luke can do here. Unfortunately, Shurima not having the best game of his life here. His Zed play is not quite as good as the Yasuo play was, but it was banned out to be fair. And Mark Boots now has Zanya's, which is going to let him survive Shurima's attempts at bursting even more. RGB continuing the trend. They're engaging the dragon. They really want this dragon. They need all the advantages they can get. And they're easily going to get this. There's no way for Overhyped to get there in time. The only lane that's doing fine, you could say, is top lane really. And there's still a CS disadvantage because it is Gangplank versus Maokai. So basically all of our RGB lanes currently are behind, with the biggest disadvantage being, of course, being in the mid lane. 4-0 and 2 Cassiopeia with a, looks like a 30 or 40 CS lead on Shrima's Zed. And things are a little grim in that area. Oh, JD Jam trying to get some wards into this area. He's going to be able to take out this control ward. Oh, but here comes Luke. Luke and Rash are able to show up and say, no, you're not taking our control ward. It certainly isn't over, but things are scary. A fed Cassiopeia at 14 minutes is not something to be trifled with easily. And that's not to take away from Nicholas or CLG Chick, of course, especially not from Nicholas, because he's a huge part of the reason they have as many kills as they do right now. Holy trying to take out the barrel before it goes off, but unfortunately doesn't quite get it. Takes a decent chunk of damage there. See, Nicholas is hovering on that touch. Luke is in a lot of trouble. There goes the Zyra ultimate. Unfortunately, he does get snared up by Jiggity Jam. He's trying to get away, but there is the Caitlyn ultimate to kill him. Very unfortunate for Luke. There's a lot of vision control from Overheight in this jungle here. I see Impaled is just constantly poking away at Holy. Holy gets the barrel that time, though. Oh. Cat Person almost looked like he tried to dodge the ultimate, but here comes Nicholas out of nowhere to charge in as a horsey and finish off Cat Person. Cat Person again, a little on the squishy yet. He doesn't have Sentinel finished yet, though he is building to it. There's Shrima getting exhausted by Jiggity Jam, but looks like Raps is going to be able to pick up Nicholas. Jiggity Jam almost going down himself. And we can just see Mark Boots is just this massive threat. He's 5-0 and 3 now. Oh, Mark Boots. There's the exhaust onto Luke. There's the Zanyas. RFs is in huge trouble. There's the shield from Jiggity Jam, and it's going to let Mark Boots survive. Both of them flashing. Holy only has tier 1 boots. I don't think he can catch Mark Boots here. Wow, that's got to feel bad. Once again, Mark Boots getting a nice few set of kills so he can extend his lead. Oh, he was on a ward, so Cat Person was able to show up and get the shutdown gold. That is going to be huge. They need all the gold they can get right now. We do see that Cat Person has finished his Cinderhulk, so he's gone for the tankier build this time. We'll likely see Black Cleaver, I imagine. Which does make sense on a character like him. Mark Boots has finished his Rylai's now, though, so that is going to give him the slows that'll increase his utility pretty significantly and allow him to kite a lot better. Try to stretch my legs a bit. Yep, we see Nicholas and Impaled working on the Rift Herald. Maybe Luke will forward over it, but it looks like they're going to get it pretty uncontested here. Holy using the Twisted Bands to jump on a Jiggity Jam. Jiggity Jam taking a pretty significant chunk of damage. Does get snared up, but the Twisting Mirror... No, that's not Twisting. It's something Maelstrom. Maelstrom. I cannot remember what it's called from Lightning. Something Maelstrom. He's not going to take too much damage because it does reduce the good damage reduction. Oh, Shrima versus Impaled. Shrima takes a huge chunk of damage, though. And Shrima, unfortunately, does not have enough damage to finish off Impaled. And Ghostblade is just not quite doing it for him. Shrima is just having such a hard time. He's so far behind. He's, 45 CS behind now. And has 0 kills and only 1 assist. Luke trying to get his IR ultimate off, but CLG Chick is able to flash out of it. And then get his auto attack down to kill him, and drops Rafts extremely low. Looks like CLG Chick and JD Jam are going to be able to take this turret with no contest. And there's not a whole lot RCD can do about this. See? Cat Person trying to get up and clear the wave, but here comes Nicholas. He's going to take it up. It actually doesn't even take any shots there. It's low enough for them to kill it. Darn you, directed camera, for not showing me the health of the turret. Zoom out a little bit, maybe? Nope, shoot. Nope, can't zoom out anymore. Darn! Wish the spectator mode could zoom out just a tiny bit more so we could see a little bit more detail, but unfortunately that is not the case. Dragon is going to give it 30 seconds, and unfortunately for RGB, I do not think they're in any position to really take this. Because if they want to take this, they need to kill Mark Boots. I just realized that his name is silly because he's playing Cassiopeia who can't wear boots. Mark Boots is just, and that's not to take away from Nicholas or Impaled or CLG Chick, who are doing really well for themselves, but Mark Boots is 7-1, and that is just terrifying at 20 minutes on a Cassiopeia. He's going to be doing so much damage. What is RGB's game plan? They're not trying to contest this dragon at all. There is a ping on Baron, which is going to be up in 20 seconds. And here comes USC starting it. They do take the Drake for themselves, which is an air Drake. But we see all of RGB positioning around this Baron. It is going to be spawning in 3 seconds, and they are going to be starting it. We have Mark Boots is super close to it. They pinged it. They might be trying to come to it. They're not really there. It looks like RGB is going to get it for free. There's the ward. There's the Gangplank ultimate. And they're going to be able to pick it up. No problem. They're trying to back up. Here comes Nicholas, Jiggity Jam, and Mark Boots. It looks like Shrima got out. Nope. Holy is going to flash over the wall to get away. I don't think he's going to be able to get away. It looks like Luke does down. Holy's trying to teleport out, but CLG Chick gets the trap down just in time, stopping the teleport. Good effort by Holy, but very unfortunate that he was not able to get away. That was so fast by CLG Chick. I don't think I would have got the trap down in time. Reflexes aren't that good. It would have probably never even occurred to me to try that, actually, not thinking about it. Impaled gets locked down by Cat Person's ultimate. So RGB's gamble does work out for them. They lose 2 people, but they get 3 people with the Baron. And they managed to pick up a consolation prize of Impaled. Because they are super far behind now. They are at 9k gold difference, 8k gold difference at the 21-minute mark. And that's pretty significant. See, Raps is working on building more of a kiting edge rebuild. He has that Trinity, not Trinity Force. He has the Frozen Gauntlet? Iceborne Gauntlet. I might say, almost said Frozen Heart, but that's not right at all. Iceborne Gauntlet. And Shrima is just, he's trying to farm these side lanes, but unfortunately, he is going to get picked up by CJ here. There's the Ghost Blade trying to get him some moves boost. He is forced back, and we just see how stupidly powerful CLG Chick is right now. He has the Runes, he has the Infinity Edge. And here comes Nicholas to flank from the side and pick him up. They are just making sure Shrima is not going to be relevant in this game at all. And see, Mark Boots is working on what I imagine is going to be his Archangel Staff turns into a Seraphim Embrace. Cat Person's finishing Black Cleaver, which will give a nice strong armor shred to his mostly physical damage team despite the Luke and Holy. CLG Chick gets locked up by Luke, but Luke just gets exploded by those crits coming out of CLG Chick. We see a full rotation from that mid lane to the top lane to work on this last tier 2 turret that RZB has. See Jiggity Jam doing his best to make sure he controls the vision in the jungle. Looks like he didn't quite get that word though. He opted to go ahead and run back up to the top. That is the last tier 2 turret gun. And it puts them 5 turrets ahead of RGB. Lower Prime has firm control of this game. Barrel's doing a decent chunk of damage, but not as much as they probably could. JD Jam taking a bit of poke himself drops fairly low. RGB has to be trying to figure out how they can stall this game out more. They're not in a good position at all. This has to be really, really scary for them. Because they did quite well in the previous match, and now things have just turned on their head. It's probably good that they managed to take that Baron away, because it's making sure that, for the time being, that Overhyped can't take the Baron for themselves. Yep. Things have really slowed down. We're seeing all of Overhyped trying to back here, probably buying some items if they can afford it. And they need to try and figure out how they're going to push into this base now. They're in such a good position for this. They have a 6-0 Caitlyn, and a 7-1 Cassiopeia, who both have 3 items. We actually see that Mark Boots has opted to not finish his Archangel Staff and has gone for a Void Staff instead. So he's just going to be hitting like a truck, even if you have metric resistance. Rose Noir is looking for the openings. They're trying to farm, trying to get Shreema the gold he needs. He has 1 kill finally, but it does not make up for the fact that he has 6 deaths. We're seeing, looks like a Raptor is opting to try and push down the mid turret. They're trying to keep the waves pushed up. But RC is actually doing a very good job making sure the waves are pushing away from their bases. Nope, my phone alarm goes off. Ignore that. I would not be surprised to see a split push here, but it doesn't look like a kill is going to do. It's still to the side. And try to maybe push the bottom side. Bottom side makes the most sense. Dragon is going to be up in 15 seconds. We do see Overhyped pushing away to take this next dragon, which is, I have no idea what kind of dragon it is. Kind of wish the dragon indicator in that top left corner was the color of the dragon that was being taken. But it's another Air Drake, which is going to make Nicholas, basically benefits Nicholas the most because he has a heck room. Which is going to make those rampages deadly. Raph trying to take the red buff for himself. Does not quite have Muramana yet, so he's not as strong as he could be. Yeah, we see a nice strong bottom push from Mark Boots, Nicholas, and Impaled. Luke is trying to stall it out. There's the wave clearing from Shreema. Luke does get barely tapped by Mark Boots and loses half of his health. He's trying to get that Lindra's Torment, which will give him quite a bit of dot damage. Giving him a pseudo poison of his own. This could definitely be worse for RZB. They're doing a very good job stalling this game out, but they're in a really, this is still not good. Impaled trying to pick up a Infinity Edge. Shreema barely gets tapped a little bit and loses half of his health. He has a Black Cleaver now. Seeing Catperson trying to build some armor, but Catperson engaging on his Steel Trick. There's the ultimate. He's getting locked up by Holy. There's the redemption in the Steel Trick life. He's trying to kite it out. There's Catperson diving onto him with the help of Shreema. Catperson is almost going down. He's super low, getting chased down by Nicholas. Now Holy is the focus. Can't quite get away. We see that while all this is happening, we saw Mark Boots push away the rest of the team. Holy is going to go down to Impaled. We see a full rotation to that mid turret. They lost CLG Chick, but they are still more than strong enough to try and take this turret. They do dodge out Ezreal's ultimate. Actually, no. They lose their minion wave, and Nicholas almost dies to turret. He gets locked up by Luke. Nice job by Luke to lock him up for a long enough time. So, not the worst trade in the world. They do lose. It goes to go 1-2, but Catperson and Holy dived in that backline and made sure Steel Chick went down. But we do see that Baron is alive. Lots of pings going on it. Not to see if RZB tries to contest it. They can contest it because there are no major pressure onto their waves here. Oh wow. You see that Overhyped is starting it right away. That Baron is kind of melting. Oh, Cat Person trying to steal it. Oh, Shurima coming from out of nowhere, but does get picked up. Does get picked up by CLG but CLG going down to Shurima's ultimate. Cat Person is still alive. He's trying to pick up Jiggity Jam. Jiggity Jam goes down. That's 2 kills for 1 going in favor of RCB. But RCB picks up, does not pick up the Baron, despite Cat Person getting over the wall. He's almost timed it right, but he was just not quite there. RGB is going to be able to take a turret. It'll give them their second turret of the game. So despite losing the Baron, this is not over. They are showing many signs of life. Shurima has picked up a Maul Melmorius as well, which is going to make him a lot very dangerous. Cat Person using the Vault Breaker to gain distance on Nicholas. Ooh! Mark Boots just gets melted. Zhonya's is forced. He is not in a safe spot. He flashes out. There's the ultimate though. He's going to be able to pick up. He's going to pick up Cat Person, and then Nicholas is going to die to Holy and Luke. While I was happening, Nicholas picked up Rafts. I thought Mark Boots was dead for sure, but he flashed as soon as that Zhonya's ended, and it kept him alive. So another 1-for-2 trade. I'm very unfortunate for RCB that they were not able to pick up Mark Boots because he is such a huge threat. And Mark Boots is quickly going to take that buff for himself. Impaled and versus Shurima again. We saw this matchup earlier. Impaled pooped on Shurima last time, and it looks like it might be happening again. Oh, wow. Shurima not quite strong enough to dive Impaled under turrets. To be fair, there was also a redemption that was going to make sure that he probably stayed alive anyways. See just how ridiculously powerful redemption is. I would not be surprised to see if they put a range on that, because I believe it is a global. Oh, here comes Rash from the side. He's using the Blazer King to slow down Jiggity Jam. There's the exhaust from Jiggity Jam though, to try and make sure that he doesn't die. But there's the flash. Raps is now regretting his hardcore chase. Nicholas coming out of nowhere to say hi. I'm a horse. You see how ridiculously powerful Nicholas is. He has the Cinder Hulk, he has the Trinity Force, he has the Randuin's Omen. Actually, kind of surprised he didn't build Bit Advance, but Randuin's is a fine item. Well, makes his engages basically a huge AoE slow. And with that Baron buff, they're quickly going to push into the Tinder. There is a teleport from Impaled. Without Raps, I don't think there's anything needed to contest this. We see Overhype trying to maybe position for a bottom push or a Dragon push. Dragon is going to be up in 30 seconds. Don't know if they do still have Baron. Impaled is trying to push this wave up. Here comes CLG Chick. He's trying to walk back up to the lane after buying. Looks like he has a Guardian Angel now. Rafts now has Muramana, so he is going to get a nice little spike in damage on his auto attacks. They're positioning for this dragon. It is going to be spawning soon. It is... I can't tell what a dragon is because we only saw the bottom corner. It looked like an Earth Drake. I don't think it can be. It has to be Elder Drake, right? At this stage? Nope, it's another Earth Drake. 5 dragons. I don't think I've ever seen 5 dragons taken in a game. Because I can't not remember for the life of me of what exactly the time for Elder Drake. 35 minutes, I'm just guessing. Footballing. Oh. While RCB pushed up this mid lane, we see all of Overhype pushing up the bottom lane. Looks like they're going to get this dragon for free. Or not dragon, sorry, the turret. No contention, they were able to take it so easily. Nicholas is actually getting focused down a little bit. He got some shields from Jiggity Jam, but he's taking a lot of damage. He does go down to the Maelstrom from Holy. Holy does get exploded out. Shurima trying to get in there as well, but he does die. Cat Person does go down. Guardian Angel popped. And that is a almost clean ace with only Luke surviving. Only Nicholas going down from the side of Overhyped. We see CLG Chick trying to zone out Luke. Taking a lot of damage, but I don't think Luke can really fight him, even with the Landries. And most likely it is going to be Overhyped picking up the win here. They're trying to zone out Luke for instead of taking the turret for some reason, which is weird. I guess they know they have this game in the bag. That is the last Nexus turret going down. They're wanting to dive? They're wanting to dive. But unfortunately, they, Tildy Chick and Mark Boots are not going to be able to take the turn up long enough to pick up Luke, and that is going to be RGB taking the victory. So, valiant effort by RGB. They managed to stall this game out a lot longer than I expected, but OVH, overhyped, taking the victory pretty convincingly there. Basically doing exactly what RGB did to USC. They turned the game on its head and completely reversed the previous matchup. So, on that note, congratulations to Overhype for winning. They are going to take home our cash prize, and that is going to be it. We're going to go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors. I was not able to do it last night because my power went out right at the very end of the stream. That was very considerate of the power company to make sure my power lasted long enough for the game to end. We do have one of our first sponsors is going to be Battlefly, which is the tournament service we use. When do they call it service? It's a website that we use to run our tournaments. Very easy to use, very simple to use. You can always catch our weekend tournaments there. Feel free to sign up if you are interested in playing. I hope we can see more teams. Our other sponsor is going to be Vibby, which is a website that we use to create highlights. You basically upload a video, and then you can quickly create a highlight video without downloading any software. So it's very quick and easy to use, very simple. And last but certainly not least, we have Law History app, which is a League of Legends specific Android and iPhone app that is basically used to look up summoners. So if you meet someone out in real life and you're like, hey, what's your summoner? You're like, oh my gosh, you're a Seiko man. I can't possibly be friends with you. I'm sorry. And with that, I guess we're going to be signing off once again. Congratulations to Overhyped. And that is going to be our last tournament for a while. I believe we're going on break for a couple of weeks. We're not going to be playing on Christmas or New Year's. And that'll be it. So I will see you guys later on. Hopefully we can have more teams playing, and we'll be signing off. Thanks, guys. Bye.